G'day guys, how we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. Apologies there, I think the recording or the stream might have started a fraction early there, but welcome anyway. And as you can see, this episode is going to be a little bit different than usual because, of course, we're going to talk some boxing, but we're going to do the 2024 in review. And you can see there by the Australian flags there, it's going to be predominantly the Australian year in review. Of course, we'll talk about the international scene as well, but if we're going to do the whole thing, we'll be here all night. So focus in on the Australian review. So we'll go through month by month, go through what happened each month, obviously feedback from you guys. Then what I want to do is the pound-for-pound lists of the women's and the men in Australia, and then the overall top 10 pound for pound in the world, which is always risky because everyone has different opinions. But thank you to everyone that is joining in at the moment. We've got Big J there, we've got Eminem and Tommy Doak, so we'll get a couple of comments there. But again, keep the comments coming as usual, but as I said, it will be a 2024 in review. We'll get started in a sec. So let's start off with Big J, a couple of comments. What do you got there, mate? Happy New Year. Yep, to you too, mate. Going to get a birthday shout out to my daughter, Lila. I hope I pronounced that right, Lila. She's 16 tomorrow. Here's a tip. Have your kids in December. It's a godsend. Well, happy birthday to Lila. Again, I hope I got that right. If she's watching, yeah, happy 16. So you've had a big week, haven't you? You've had Christmas, your birthday, and about to be New Year. So all the very best to you. And Big J. There's Eminem. How are you there, mate? Still with Big J. Also heard you're going to the Upper Tyre fight. Do you need a baggage carrier? I need sponsorship to get to the fight. Yes. Well, again, before we get into the review, yes, I will be at the Jai Upper Tyre fight next week. I'm heading up on Saturday night. Myself and Uncle Ronnie Picken are heading up. And we will be there to do all the 4 days leading up to the fight itself. So I was up in the air about whether to go or not. If you watch Walking Boxing, you would have seen what my explanation of the whole thing. I got a call from Mick Francis who said, "Come on, let's go. We need more content creators out there covering this." And it was a really welcome phone call to have Mick say that because, as I said in the video this morning, too many promoters, and you'd probably know as well, Big Joe. I'm not going to mention any names. I don't want to get you on the blacklist, but there are promoters that think it's this big privilege. They give you a press pass, and really, I've never asked for press passes because they can really be an inconvenience if you're trying to cover the event like I do. They don't let you film. They don't let you sort of roam around where you're not supposed to, and that's why I always just take my camera and just film and do what I want. They're handy if you want to get into press conferences and weigh-ins and all that sort of stuff. I get that, but I tend to like to do my own thing. But yes, I will be there, mate, and can't wait to get up there. There's Cal Jane in the Cal Jane Hartman in the chat there. How are you there, Cal? Mr. Bob. How are you there, Mr. Bob? All right, so I'll get a couple more comments, and then we'll get into the review. Who we got there? Tommy. Hang on, I think I've got. Hang on, mixed up a bit there. Lynden, if you had to give a letter grade for the 2024 year of boxing, what would it be? Wow, good question there, Tommy. Overall, I'll probably divide it into two, Tommy. The Australian scene and then the world scene. If I had to give a letter grade to Australia, I would probably say a B-. I think we had a 50-50 record this year, 10 wins, 10 losses in world title fights. And I think it was the females who really carried the load there. Where is it? They were 6-1, the girls. And although one of them was an All-Australian fight, so it's a little bit of an asterisk there. And the men were 4-9. But yeah, 10-10 altogether. As for world boxing, geez, it'd have to be like an A-, wouldn't it? What a year it's been. The Riyadh cards, I'm probably been a little bit stiff making it an A-, but just a terrific year of boxing. It really has. And yeah, it would have been good if we had the Christmas Eve show last week with Sam Goodman and No in a way. But, you know, it is what it is. And we're about to start the new year with the Jai Pattaya World title fight. Sam Goodman in a way in late January. We've got Jason Maloney in late February. So still plenty to look forward to. So that, Tommy, there's a good fight on Tuesday. Ioka versus Martin. There's a rematch. First fight was great. I think that has been... yes, you've said it there. Oops, never mind. I'm reading the fight has been called off due to Martinez having influenza. Yes, that's only been announced in the last couple of hours, I think, Tommy. And thank you very much for that. I hope the holidays have been kind to you and your family as well. Yes, what a huge year for Australian boxing, Eminem, and we're about to get into it. We'll just get a few more comments there. Eminem are no longer going up to the Opatai fight due to reasons out of my control. Selling 2 tickets in S22 if anyone is interested. I see it's now a sellout other than a few tables. Yes, get on to Eminem. I'm not sure how they get hold of you there, mate. But, yep, if you've got a couple of tickets, it is a sellout. Paul, Happy New Year. Yep, to you too, mate. Great walking boxing shows. Can't wait for the Opatai fight and your coverage of it. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it should be good. If I get time, I should be able to still do talking boxing next Monday, and I will do the walking boxing of a morning. Instead of having Neil, I might have Uncle Ronnie on the walk with me. We'll see how we go. No worries, Frankie. And we've got a super chat from Andy. How are you there, mate? Another awesome year for boxing, in my opinion. Subscribe, share, and smash. Yes, thank you, Andy. Eminem, great of Mick Francis to get you up there and around the show. Seems like a real good fella. He is. Eminem, look, he's just no bullshit, really. He rang me and said, what are you doing? You coming? I said, oh, yeah. He said, look, get your ass up here. I've got to still pay my way, but he's obviously all access at the show itself, in the change rooms, all the events leading up to it. So can't begrudge that, can you? So, all right, Big J, the 20 world title fights. I have 18 with 10 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. All right, well, I'm going to just jump to this and then we'll get into the actual show there. Big J. All right, we're going to go through them quickly and then we'll go into month by month. All right, we had Jaya Pataya with wins over Marius Breedis and Jack Massey. That is 2. We had Tim Zhu with 2 losses, Sebastian Fundora and Bakram Murtazalia, so that's 2 and 2. Jason Maloney went 1 and 1, so that's 3 and 3. Liam Paro went 1 and 1, that's 4 and 4. George Kambosos went 0 and 1, so that's 4 and 5. Andrew Maloney went 0 and 1, so that's 4 and 6. Liam Wilson was beaten by Oscar Valdez, that's 4 and 7. Michael Zarafa was beaten by Arizlani Lara, that's 4 and 8. And Alex Winwood was beaten by Thamanoon Neomtrong, so that's 4 and 9. With the girls, Sky Nicholson beat Sarah Marford, Diana Vargas, and Raven Chapman, so that's 3 and 0. Shanika Johnson beat Nina Hughes, that's 4 and 0. Jessie Robinson beat Kay Scott, that's 5 and 0. Shay Keneally beat Angie Rocha, that's 5 and 0. Yes, so who lost that one? Oh, and Lynn Sands, sorry, that's 6, is it? 3, 4, 5, 6. And Lynn Sandstrom lost the WBA Super Flyweight title fight to Clara Lescarat. That is 20 fights, Big J, and 10 and 10. All right, so before we have more comments coming through, you can comment on that, Big J. If I've got that wrong, let me know. Let's start with January. So I'll bring that month up, and again, I'm just going to go through each month. I won't spend too much on it because I want your comments on the month as well. I'll give the highlights. Now, forgive me if I've missed something that you've seen along the way with Australian boxing. There is so much going on. I've just covered the main stuff, and again, if I've missed something for the month of whatever it is, make sure you put it in there. Before we get going, there's a super chat from Eminem. Thanks very much, mate. Love all you do. A little appreciation donation. Enjoy the Gold Coast. Thanks very much, Eminem. That is a chat of a donation of $14.99. Thank you very much, mate. Is very much appreciated there. All right. So in January, we started off with, there it is, Jason Maloney with a 12-round decision over Saul Sanchez. That was on January 13th in Quebec. That was on the card of Artur Beterbiev, is KO 7 over Callum Smith. And Christian and Billy beat Rowan Murdoch on the undercard as well. Well, interim titles. Well, there's still... Did I put George in there? Yes, I did. I'm sure I did. Where are we? George Kambosos. Yes, did I have him in there? Yes, sorry. I mentioned George Kambosos lost to Vasily Lomachenko. Yep, that was the other one. So it was 4 and 9. Have I got that wrong? So 2 and 0, 2 and 2... 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 4 and 7, 4 and 8, 4 and 9. Yep. So, well, interim titles. Well, there's still... Which ones are interim titles? That's the thing, Big J. Andrew Maloney, Pedro Guevara was an interim title. Liam Wilson, Oscar Valdez was for the vacant title because Emmanuel Navarrete made his intentions clear. He wanted to go to lightweight. I didn't have Robinson in there, Big J. Oh, sorry, Big J, sorry. I didn't have her in there, Big J. I didn't say Desley Robinson is what I said. Desley Robinson over Kay Scott for the IBF 160-pound title. But the other interims, maybe, yeah, okay, you can make a case for Andrew Maloney, Pedro Guevara, and that's it. Okay, so put an asterisk beside that if you want to. All right, so as I said, Jason Maloney made that first defence of the WBO 118-pound title that he'd won against Astrolabio earlier in the... it was... what was it? Early or mid 2023, May 2023 it was. So we got the win over Sanchez, and as I said, Beterbiev beat Smith, and then Billy beat Rowan Murdoch. Now on to, there's no February. Strangely enough, there was no February. Nothing happened in February. I don't know what happened there. So we will skip to March, and plenty happened in March. Let's go right back to March the 6th. Yusuf Dib, March 6th in Sydney this is. Yusuf Dib stopped Nort Beauchamp in 4 rounds. Now, on that card, Bilal Akaway was supposed to fight Reynold Quinlan. Now, that fight, of course, never happened because of the weight. Reynold Quinlan would actually fight Troy Pilcher, who beat Reynold Quinlan and would get the fight against Justice Hooney later in the year. But the main event was Yusuf Dib with that 4th round stoppage of Nort Beauchamp. Also in March, on the 13th, Sam Goodman had a 4th round, one-sided stoppage of Mark Schliebs. That was in Wollongong. Also on the undercard of that, Isaac Hardman was stopped in 8 rounds by Endri Saavedra. Hasn't fought since. Let's hope we see Isaac back. Then on March 17 at the Fortitude Music Hall in Queensland, Connor Wallace with a 6th round stoppage, of Jack Gipp. March the 20th in Sydney, Nathaniel May stopped Louis MacGyver, I think that's how you pronounce it, MacGyver, in 4, and Danilo Creati somehow earned, in quote unquote, earned a shot at Nikita Tszyu with a 4-round draw over New Zealand journeyman Marcus Haywood. And that was the main event on No Limit on Fox. That was March 20th. March 23rd in Ipswich, Queensland, Paulo Acuso stopped Emmanuel Dunzo in 1 round. And on the undercard of that, Kay Scott fought and won an 8-round decision over Desley Robinson. G'day, Carl. How are you, mate? We're just doing a bit of year in review, mate, but feel free to keep the comments coming. I'll address them as we go. March 27th in Brisbane, Taylor Robinson had a 10-round draw against Gloria Gallardo. That was for that IBF title you were talking about. Big J, very, very lucky to get that draw. And that was, I think, the first show on 7+. On the undercard of that, Jalen Tate also very lucky to get a 10-round decision over Alexander Espinoza. Then we go to what was probably the biggest weekend of the year, and it turned out to be not a very successful weekend for the Aussies. You can see the picture right there of Tim Tszyu where was it? It was in Phoenix, Arizona. I was actually at this fight. Liam Wilson was stopped in 7 rounds by Oscar Valdez. That was on March 29th. The night after, Tim Tszyu lost his quest to add the WBC belt, 154-pound belt, to his WBO version. He lost a 12-round decision to Sebastian Fundora. That was in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. And on the undercard, Michael Zarafa was, I don't really know how else to describe it, was smashed by Erislandy Lara and stopped in 2 rounds. So that was a really busy month for the Aussies in March. So you look at there was, including that Las Vegas card and the Phoenix card, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows in total in March. So a massive month for Aussie boxing. What did you think about it? Was see the picture there of Tim Tszyu being beaten by Sebastian Fundora again at the fight. I think we all gave Tim a bit of a leave pass, or not a leave pass, a pass, if you want to call it whatever pass you will, of the Fundora fight because of the circumstances. You can see they're both covered in blood, but yeah, it was great to be there, and just unfortunate that that it happened the way it did, but that's boxing. And also the Liam Wilson Oscar Valdez fight the night before. Great to see a few Aussies there, by the way. I think a lot of people actually drove from Las Vegas to Phoenix, but that was March. What's that, DJ? How do we fare as a country at the Olympics? Good call, DJ. Now, I didn't actually put that in the year in review, but that is a very good point. Now, we won 2 bronze medals at the, was it 3? I think it was 2 bronze medals, DJ, at the Olympics. Disappointing, DJ, to be honest, DJ. I think most of our fighters went out in the first fight. A couple made it to the second round, maybe third, I can't remember, but we only had 2 that actually won bronze medals. Trevor, interesting to read. Charlo was looking to PBC to find him a big comeback fight in 2025. Do you think Tim Tszyu would still come in the calculations? All the best for 2025. Same to you there, mate. Just get your comment back there. I did see that, Trevor. I'm not sure PBC can really do anything, if I'm being honest. I just think they're the forgotten company at the moment. So good on him for coming back. I'm just not sure what they can do. Tim Tszyu, no. Not for 2025, Trevor. I would think that Tim would probably want to get 2, if not 3, gimme fights. I would think at least 2 gimme fights in the first, or maybe up to July, August, whatever it might be, and then maybe step up at the end of the year. He needs a couple of easy kills, Trevor. And I don't think we begrudge him that. All right, let's go to April. All right, so in this month, Sky Nicholson won a 10-round decision and the WBC featherweight belt with that 10-round decision over Sarah Marford. That was on April 6th in Las Vegas. That was the week after the other Las Vegas fights. Yes, Carl, the PBC are on the climb, mate. They just don't matter these days, do they? On to April the 24th, Nikita Tszyu won a 10-round decision over Danilo Creati in Sydney. On the undercard, this was a really, really good card. Jerome Pampalone was beaten by Malik Zinat in a really good 12-rounder. Matteo Tapia won a 10-round decision over Kaiba Gonzalez, and Lynn Sandstrom lost that 10-round decision to Clara Leshkarat for the WBA 115-pound title. Then we move to April 27th in Southport. This was on the 7 Plus show again, I think it was. Joel Taylor won a 10-round decision over Lachlan O'Shea. Rocky Ogden was upset and stopped in 6 rounds by Chen Cheng Yang. So not as eventful as March, but still plenty going on, especially that Nikita Tszyu card. That was a really good card. All right, Tony, did you know Dwight Ritchie, and could you possibly share your thoughts if you choose not to? I understand. Yeah, no, happy to share my thoughts, Tony. I only ever met him once. I saw him fight many times, Tony, but I never promoted Dwight. I never knew him well. Obviously, I only met him the once, but I knew his uncles and all that very well. I used to go and spar with the Ritchie boys up in Shepparton. I think it was Shepparton. Yeah, up near Shepparton anyway. A great young talent was Dwight Ritchie, Tony. He had some really, really good wins and just an absolute tragedy of what happened. And probably like some of his predecessors, like the Sands boys, who knows what might have happened if he hadn't passed away. But just a shocking accident. And but unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes in boxing, mate. But yeah, it was just he got his sort of shot to some extent with the fight against Tim Tszyu, but you know, still relatively inexperienced. So who knows what he might have achieved going forward, Tony, with a few more fights under his belt. But as I said, yeah, just a tragedy what happened there. DJ, yeah, good. I like this. Best 2 male or female prospects for 2025 at the end of the review. All right, remind me of that, DJ. We don't come back to that. Put back up and I'll have a look at it. I'm sure I've seen somewhere that Al Heyman is apparently sick. I didn't know that, Andy. Not sure. All right, let's move on, shall we? And May, not a lot happening there, but we did have one big fight. Sorry, no, actually, sorry. I take that back. There were several big fights that month. I've scrolled a bit too far. All right, let's start with May the 6th in Tokyo, Japan. Jason Maloney lost his WBO 118-pound title with a 12-round decision to Yoshiki Takei. And that was actually on the undercard of Naoya Inoue's 6th-round war with Lewis Neary. Remember, Inoue hit the deck in that fight and ended up putting Neary away in the 6th round. Then we moved to May 8, another 7+ show. Ben Kelleher was stopped in 6 rounds by Joshua Francis. Then we go to a big show. I was at this one as well, May 12th in Perth. This is where George Kambosos was stopped in 11 rounds by Vasily Lomachenko for the vacant IBF 135-pound title. On the undercard, Andrew Maloney lost a 12-round decision to Pedro Guevara. I still think Andrew Maloney won that fight, but it is what it is. That was for the WBC interim, as Big J pointed out before. 115-pound title. Shanika Johnson in a bizarre fight with Nina Hughes for the IBF 122-pound belt. Now, if you remember that, Nina Hughes actually got the decision. And Lieutenant Dan Hennessy, with no notice whatsoever, just said, can we have both girls back to the centre of the ring, and just read the scorecards out again. It didn't mention anything about it, didn't apologise, didn't say anything apart from both girls back to the centre of the ring, and just announced the decision like nothing had happened. It was bizarre. And Nina Hughes, quite rightly, was very upset by that. Probably more so the way it was handled. But Shanika Johnson, the IBF 122, was it IBF? I think it was. IBF 122-pound title. And on that card as well, Lucas Brown was knocked out into retirement by Himi Ohio, what is it, in the 1st round. Then on May 18th in Riyadh, on the Alexander Usyk Tyson Fury #1 show, Jai Pataya won a 12-round decision over Marius Briedis to defend that IBF cruiserweight title. Did he defend it, or he won the vacant title? Wherever it was, for the IBF cruiserweight title. Then on the 29th of May in Southport, again on an Ace Boxing show on 7+, Dan Hill had a 7th round stoppage of a very game Tai Jeon Kim. So that is May. All right, let's get on to some comments there. Any idea why Fred Zawawa can't get a fight? Carl, that's pretty easy, mate. He hasn't got a lot of support. There's probably no sponsors, and he can fight. Bad mix. He hasn't got a promoter behind him. There's no way any prospect or anyone of note or anyone on the up is going to risk fighting someone like Fred, because he's a very, very good fighter and he brings nothing to the table. So he's not going to sell tickets, I wouldn't have thought. Very hard for him, and I really feel for him, because I understand. I know a lot of people say, well, why don't just promoter get behind him? It's, at the lower levels, it's all about ticket sales. And if Fred can't get sponsors and ticket sales behind him, unfortunately, the promoters aren't going to put him on the card. They're certainly not going to put him on the card. I was just going to say that there might be the option of putting him on just as the B side against someone who can sell tickets. The problem is he can fight, and there's no way that A side is going to risk anything against someone like him. That's why, Carl. And I would sort of hope that someone like a No Limit, who's not really about fighters selling tickets for them. They sell their own shows. They've got the pay-per-views, all that sort of stuff. Why they couldn't get behind. This is what it's, in my opinion, is supposed to be about with the No Limit to the world having the platform they have, is to give guys like Fred a platform and not have the pressure of selling tickets and having sponsors and all that sort of stuff. Just put him on because he's an entertaining fighter and he's going to put on a great show. Unfortunately, at the moment, he's on the outer. He just needs someone who knows someone, if that makes sense, Carl, who can talk to maybe an Ace Boxing or No Limit or Tasman Fighters, who can put him on a card and just start getting a few eyeballs on him. But it's easier said than done, mate. Yeah, Carl, Andrew pretended to retire, didn't he? I don't think he pretended to retire, Carl. I've spoken to him about it, and he said that was it. When he was in the ring, and this is why I don't agree with in-ring interviews straight after a fight. He just lost a fight that he thought he won, and the emotion got the better of him. He had enough, and he just said, that's it, I'm out. So maybe they should have waited an hour after the fight, or half an hour or whatever. I understand that people want to have interviews straight after, but you're going to get responses like that, Carl. But yeah, he didn't pretend. He was 100% serious if you ask him about that being it. But, you know, you're out of boxing. Once it's over, it's over. And I think common sense prevailed, and he knew that he had a bit more to offer, mate. Thanks, Big J. The WBA, yeah, I thought that was one of them. Yeah, that's cool. Did Jazzy Pa shit in her own nest after the loss, inferring Glenn's fighters get preferential treatment? That's from DJ. Good question, DJ. And the proof will be in the pudding. I don't think so. I know everyone sort of links Glenn and No Limit together, and in some ways they are, but rest assured Glenn has no official interest in No Limit. They, of course, have a lot of interest in him because he's got the Zoo Boys. So that's massive pay-per-view numbers for them. But, yeah, look, I don't know. I don't think, knowing Glenn, DJ, I think he just would have went straight over his head. And if he says to No Limit, I got no problems with it, she'll be back, mate. Yeah, I think they realise, like I just said, that emotions run high after fights. But I think sometimes there might have been a conversation between George Rose and Jazzy afterwards, that sort of stuff. But, yeah, I don't think so. I think she'll be fine. And they need people, or fighters like Jazzy Parr on the cards, DJ. So, all right. Yep, Carl. Yep, with Fred. Yep. I did see an article actually written about him. No, it might have been on social media somewhere, Carl, as well. All right, Tony, before we get on to June, after Alexander cleans up Dubois 2025, do you think he might go back down to cruiserweight and face Jai? I don't know, Tony. I'm not sure. I think he might be talking about it. Who knows? If Jai beats Zurdo Ramirez impressively, then maybe he might see it as a challenge. But up until then, I would think that if he beats Dubois, what has he got left? He would be 6-0 against the 3 best heavyweights of the current era. What else has he got to prove? Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Money's not really an option. So, but as I said, I think if Jai beats, well, he's got to win next week, of course. But if he beat Zurdo Ramirez and had that, well, a couple of 2-3 belts, whatever it might be, I think he would see him as a challenge, and you just never know. Eminem says, where is Sugar Neeks? No idea, Eminem. Nothing being said about her at all at the moment. Carl, Tony Dubois has a huge fight against Parker in February. I think Parker beats Dubois. Yeah, it's quite possible. Andy, shotgun beat Parr fair and square. Fight isn't won on front foot alone. Yep, good call. Yep, very, very good call, mate. All right, while we're waiting for some more comments, let's get into June. And another massive month for Australian boxing. Let's start with Liam Paro. You can see there with a 12-round decision over Sabrina Matias in one of the upsets of the year. That was on June 15th in Puerto Rico. He won by scores of 116, 111, and 115, 112 times 2. And what a win that was by Liam Paro. Just amazing. He went over there. No one gave him a chance. Very, very unknown. And Sabrina Matias, I think, maybe underestimated Liam Paro, but it doesn't matter. He got the job done, boxed so well, and thoroughly deserved his win, did Liam Paro, and obviously opened up a lot more doors for him going forward. So that was one for me. I might actually save it to the end of the episode. We're going to say one of the performances of the year. So that's Big J Shanika has a rematch with Hughes next year in Feb, I think. I did hear there was a rematch happening, Big J. I didn't know the month, though. If it is February, well, that's good news. There's Jules in the chat. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you too, mate. Jai and Usyk could happen at Bridgerweight, but looks like potential Better B versus Usyk is starting to gain some traction in the media. Is that right? I haven't seen that much sort of being said about that, Jules. From what I've seen with Usyk, it's all about Dubois or Parker, and then maybe Jai or Ramirez, and Better Beav I thought was more aimed or sort of looking at potentially Benavides or maybe even Canelo, but it would be a good fight. It's a big jump though, Jules. Where would they meet in a catch weight, light heavyweight to heavyweight? It's a big difference, but hey, if that was the case, it'd be a great fight, wouldn't it? I have Liam beating Matias, a top 10 win of all time. Yeah, wouldn't argue with that, Big J. Bill, I like Parr, but she lost in my opinion, and clearly lost. She threw more punches, possibly did more damage, but shotgun hit the target lots more. Yep, good call, Bill. Well, it seems to be the common thread there, Bill, is that most people, apart from me, I've got to watch it back again. I did watch highlights the second time, but anyway, I think, look, I thought she was effective on the night, but again, I'll have to watch it back again. Either way, look, it was a great fight, and by all accounts, judging by the responses, by arguing or debating online or whatever it might be, I think Shannon has the nod by most people, so we'll give it to her. Carl says Alfie DiCarlo did some amazing corner work with Liam against Matisse. He certainly did, mate, especially later in the fight where the fight was in the balance and you could see Liam was just starting just to wilt a little bit. And Alfie DiCarlo really said some stern words to him and got him motivating between rounds, and he finished the fight really strong and pulled out one of the best wins of all time by an Australian boxer. Eminem, what chance are we giving the Ika to beat Opataya? Out of 10, Eminem, I would say maybe a 6. That's probably the best I can do, Eminem. I think Jai stops Niika in 7 or 8 rounds. I think Jai is a level above. Look, David's looked fantastic, but the level of opposition hasn't been great. Jai Pataya is elite, and that's why I think the class of Jai Pataya will be too much for David. I think David will probably start well. He'll have his moments. I think he'll more than go with Jai for probably the first 3 or 4 rounds. Then I just think Jai kicks in the gear. The inexperience of maybe Niika comes to the surface a little bit, and I think Jai really steps it up, and I think he can stop David for sure. Jules, massive jump for Better Beef, but maybe he has the body type. I believe he was cruiser in the amateurs. Is there cruiserweight in the amateurs? I thought it was just light heavyweight and then heavyweight or super heavyweight. Well, heavyweight is cruiserweight, of course. Then it's super heavyweight. Yeah, I don't know. But look, he fights at 175. What's Usyk fight at 220? Yeah, it's a big, what's that, 20 kilos. I know they could probably meet somewhere in the middle, but yeah, I don't know. It'd be great if it does happen anyway. Carl says, I rewatched it and no way Shotgun lost that fight. Okay. All right, I'm going to go on. Hang on, we'll go to Paul. Still think Jazzy won. I wish there was CompuBox stats because I still think she outlanded Shotgun as well as landing the heavier blows and controlling the fight. Yeah, well, it's good to have both sides of there, Paul. I like it. That's the way I saw it as well, by the way, Paul. And I'm, as you know, a massive Shotgun fan. That's sort of the way I saw it, but I'm not going to argue with anyone that said differently. All right, DJ, some of my Aussie moments of the year, part 1. Tim's losses, Jai getting the IBF back after being stripped, going to Riyadh, Zarafa's brother getting banned. that was entertaining, wasn't it? Paro beating Matthias, Tapia's performance. Yeah, yep, I like it, mate. All right, we'll get on to July. All right, in July we had Sam Goodman with a 12-round decision over whatever his name was, Luang Pong or Luang Fon. That was on July 10 in Wollongong. Also on the undercard of that fight, Liam Wilson stopped Yusuf Dib in 8 rounds. Didn't actually stop him, did he? He actually ironed him out. That was a really impressive performance by Liam Wilson. And I'm hoping he gets another crack at it next year. I really do. I think he's been great for Australian boxing, a real good ambassador, and I hope he gets another crack next year. On July 13th, Sky Nicholson won that 10-round decision over Diana Vargas in Philadelphia. Then on July 20th in Southport, Queensland, Ibrahim Bala upset Jalen Tate via 10-round decision. Shay Keneally won that WBA 175-pound title, I think it was, over Angie Rocha. I think the less said about that fight, the better. About the opponent, look, congratulations to Shay. She won the belt. That's all you can do. But, geez, that Angie Rocha was horrific. Dylan Biggs won an 8-round decision over Marcus Haywood, and Rocky Ogden avenged that loss to Cheng Yang with an 8-round decision win. And then on July 25th at the Fortitude Music Hall, Justice Honey stopped Troy Pilcher in 2 rounds. All right, let's get onto some comments. Tony, the Munster Benavides versus Better Beef would be just an amazing fight. I'd love to see that. I like that, Tony, and look, if you've got some, we'll do it at the end. We've got some fights. Just maybe make a note now, guys. Don't do it now. I'll get through everything and then we'll go into this. Maybe some fights we'd like to see in 2025. We might even go through each division. I reckon I wrote this down somewhere and I forgot all about it. But we can go through it and I'll see if I wrote it down here somewhere. Pound for pound. No, of course I didn't. I reckon I'm going to go through each division and just give you some fights that I'd like to see. Anyway, all right, a couple more comments before we move on to August. Thanks, Eminem. Yep, agree. Opataya levels above. I think you're going to see just vintage Opataya next week. I don't think he likes the fact that Niika has been given the opportunity to have a chance at his level. I think he still sees himself above Nyika. Nyika hasn't paid his dues yet, and I think Jai's almost taken it personally, and I think you're going to see him really take it out on David. The whole Australia versus New Zealand thing, all that sort of stuff, I think you're going to see come to fruition on the 8th of January. I think Jai Patai puts in a great performance. As you said, says Bill, great fight. Women's boxing seemed better than men's. They really put it on the line. I'm a fan. I like watching it, Bill. I think the only good or maybe thing that might come out of it is if they do start maybe fighting 3-minute rounds, you might see them just settle down a bit. At the moment, it's a bit of rock'em sock'em sort of stuff going on, and they have no choice. So maybe if they were threes, it might be a little bit different. I'd just like to see in the meantime, Bill, in world title fights, that they fight 12-2s as a start. At the moment, they fight 10-2s. What's wrong with fighting 12-2s? There's no different to the men. Title fight should be 12 rounds, and there's no reason why they can't do 12-2s. And if that all works out okay, then maybe they can go to 12-3s. I'm not sure, but 12-2s for sure. Jules, that's what I meant. They fought at the Olympics at 91, but it's still a massive jump given where Usyk is at now. Yeah, well, you never know, Jules. Stranger things have happened. Cal, going to have 50 on Jai and Sam for a multi-start of the year on a high. Well, if Sam Goodman's part of that, Cal, when he wins that fight, I think you could almost buy a house with the money, I reckon, on that $50 bet, because the odds are very, very long. Carl says, I'd love to see a tournament at 154 once the PBC collapses. Yep. Plenty of great fight. Well, I'm not going to say great. Gets bandied around too often, but very, very good fighters, Carl, and elite fighters. So I'm with you. That'd be awesome. Maybe what we should do at some stage is maybe pick a division and have a hypothetical tournament, draw them out of a hat, and see what happens, and just see who wins. Bam, Nakatani, before I forget. Yeah, we'll go through them anyway. Mutzi, I'm sure I had them written down somewhere. What the hell did I do with them? Yep, I wrote them all down, and I can't remember what I did with them. Anyway, I reckon I'll be able to remember them, guys. We'll go through it. All right, let's get into Andrew. Women's boxing better than men's. Okay. Is that in jest? You saying that, Andrew, or are you serious? It's not like you to get behind the women's boxing. Anyway, we'll move on. All right, let's go on to August. And on August 17th in Brisbane, Floyd Masson stopped Joshua Francis in 4 rounds. That would have been on the 7+ Ace Boxing. Then we had the pay-per-view on August 28th in Sydney. Nikita Tszyu with a very competitive win over Colin Mazudia. Had his moments. He was in trouble. He stopped him in the 9th round. I thought showed some heart, but took way too much punishment. On the undercard of that, Connor Wallace with a very, very good 12-round decision over Duran Pampalone. And Michael Zarafa, I don't know what you'd sort of call that. It was a retirement in the first round against Tommy Brown. I think, yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yep, it's just what I thought. Sarcasm. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, guys. I think the Zarafa one, there was more excitement and entertainment in the lead up to it and in the few minutes after the fight where whoever said before, Zarafa's brother jumped in and ended up getting himself charged by the police for sucker punching Tommy McCurry, and Michael Zarafa got out of there quick smart because he apparently there's a few guys after him. It was just a mess. And Glenn Rushton, who you could just see the look on his face, was like, "What the hell did I get myself into? Hooking up with Michael." So never a dull moment with him, is there? So. I'm not sure you'll see them two in the same corner again, I wouldn't have thought. I've got a feeling Glenn Rushton won't need the aggravation. But you never know. We'll see. All right, let's get on to September. Now, Alex Winwood, you can see the picture there, lost in his bid for the WBA. It was a minimum weight title in Perth. That was September 7th against Thamanoon Nyom Trong. And look, I was actually overseas when this fight was on, so I didn't watch it in its entirety. I've just watched the highlights since. By all accounts, Alex was very game. I think he was dropped a couple of times. Put up a good show, but the class of Nyom Trong just too much for Alex, who I think was only having his 5th or 6th fight. So he's got plenty of time, Alex. I think he'll be back bigger and better. That's for sure. September the 14th in Brisbane. Dan Hill won a 10-round decision over Lewis Chadwick on 7+. Jack Bowen made his comeback. He won a 6th-round decision over Gi Sung Guak. And then on September the 19th in Melbourne on Wildfighters' first show with No Limit on Fox, whatever it was, Fox TV. Jason Malia won a 10-round decision over Ben Horn. So that was September. Eminem, Bolachok is a weapon at 154. 100% he is, mate. And he's going to cause some issues for a lot of fighters at that weight. Jules, out of interest, how do you think Niika fares against Jordan Thompson, Alice Zorro, and Jack Massey? Good question. Opportunity might have come early, but I think he has all tools to be a future champion. I do too, Jules, and I don't think... Look, even though I predict that Jaya Pattaya will stop David, I think he will still, at some stage, get another shot at a world title, and I think he can win it. Out of those fighters, I think he beats all three of them. I think, especially Thompson and Zorro, I think he probably stops both of them, if I'm being honest. Jack Massey would provide some durability, but I think David Niika would win that fight as well, most likely on points. But I think he'd beat all three of them, Jules. And look, it is a little bit early, but you got to take these fights while they're there. If you don't, then who knows, they might never come around again. So I fully welcome him taking the fight. But I just think Jai is just going to be just a little bit too much too early, I think, at this stage. All right, let's get into October. Speaking of the man, there is Jai Pattaya. I'll just take that down there. All right, in October, first of all, on the 4th of October in Sydney, Janabek Alamkanouli stopped Andrei Mikhailovich in the 9th round, which was just an odd show, an odd event. The course they were supposed to fight earlier in the year, they got to the weigh-in the day before. Alamkanouli had to pull out, couldn't make the weight, and that was it for him. So they fought on pretty much, a week and a half's notice. It was just bizarre. No Limit put the show on, and the old adage that Alamkanouli pretty much played with his food that night. He had Andrei Mikhailovich down and pretty much out, I think, in the 2nd round or 3rd round, whatever it was, and probably could have ended the fight right there and then, but kept Andre on the hook for another 6 or 7 rounds and really made mincemeat of him in the end, didn't he? But game performance from Andre, I thought he was way out of his depth, but full credit to him for hanging in there. He showed a ton of guts, but just way out of his league when it came to Janabek. On the 12th of October in Riyadh, on the undercard of Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, Jai Pattaya stopped Jack Massey in the 6th round in defence of that IBF cruiserweight title. Also on that card, Sky Nicholson won a 10-round decision over Raven Chapman. And then on October 19th, probably everyone's low light of the year, especially Tim Tszju's low light. He was absolutely obliterated in 3 rounds by Bakram Murtazaliev in Orlando, which was, I think for all of us, it was like watching a bad dream. I don't think we could sort of believe what was happening in front of our eyes. The way he was totally dismantled by Murtazaliev. I mean, you never get surprised that fighters lose at this level, no matter who they are. But the way he lost was just really, really hard to comprehend and get your head around. He's got some work to do, does Tim Tszju, that's for sure. But, yeah, as I said before, I hope he fights maybe March, April next year, take a couple of gimmies, and then maybe look at the end of next year. Well, it's almost this year. The end of next year, maybe stepping up a little bit after that. But I think we'll see him against a couple of journeymen probably in Australia somewhere, I would think. All right, Carl, is Devon and Bill Haney the biggest sooks in boxing? Suing Ryan Garcia for battery is laughable. It is certainly laughable, Carl. That's probably one of the low lights of the year for me. How can you sue a boxer for battery after you've just swapped leather with him for 12 rounds? I don't understand it, Carl. And yes, they are the biggest sooks in boxing. Yeah, okay, if you want to let everyone know about what happened with the circumstances and get the fine money from Garcia, all that sort of, that's fine. But to actually sue another boxer, I've never seen that happening. Look, one fight that should have happened, or probably a couple of fights that should have happened, Miguel Cotto should have sued Antonio Margarito, but I've got a feeling, I did hear there was a little bit of problems proving of what actually happened. It was all accusations at the time. I'm not sure someone actually caught Margarito in the act, correct me if I'm wrong. And the other one was Billy Collins and Louis Resto back in 1983. And I think they went to jail if anyone was going to sue anyone for restitution, that was the fight. Not that Resto had any money, but maybe the commission, the promoters, whatever it might be. Look, Billy Collins deserves some compensation out of that, and unfortunately, he lost his life not long after that. So, but these days, Carl, they are the biggest hooks in boxing. Make no mistake about that. Breakaway. In other words, Niika will be one of Jai's hardest fights, a chess match. Yeah, look, I think Niika will give Jai some troubles early, Breakaway. I do. I think he'll be competitive for the first 3 or 4 rounds. I just think once the dust settles on those first few rounds, both fighters sort of find the groove a little bit, it'll be Jai who will keep stepping up and keep raising the bar. And I just don't think David has the tools and the experience at the moment to go with him. So, again, while it'll be competitive, I think after the 4th round, you'll see Jai step it up, and I think he gets David Niika out of there. Yes, Andrew, you good call. Was it lawyers, boils on the butt of humanity? That's it, mate. Carl, Nikita saved Tim's life by throwing in the towel. Yeah, well, I still don't like the fact that it was Nikita throwing in the towel, Carl. Now, look, he might have had the towel in his hand at the time. I still think it is the role of the chief second to throw in the towel, not a cornerman. Even though it's his brother, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I think it should be, in that instance, it should have been Igor saying to Nikita, give me the towel, and he throws it in. I know it's only a visual type of thing or a principle type of thing. I just think the chief second should be the one to throw in the towel. But you're right, probably did save his life. I can't believe the corner and the referee let it go after the first knockdown of that 3rd round, Carl, because he was gone. So, look who we have in the chat. It is D-Style. Thank you very much, mate. A $10 super chat. Thanks very much, mate. Happy New Year to Lynden and everyone. Thanks very much, mate, and the same to you, mate. And again, if you're in the chat and you haven't subscribed to D-Style, make sure you do. Big 2025 coming from D-Style Boxing. So DJ Kangaroo Bill is trying to buy YouTubers for good press sticks and stones. I agree, DJ. Hang on, I've missed a comment there. What is it? Double G. With all the beard talk about Fury, it was interesting to hear Usyk, Cutman, Russ, Amber would like braids banned. Okay, he cited Katie Taylor and feels braids can be like rubbing rope into the opponent's cut. Don't mind that, Double G. Not to mention they fly all over the place as well. I haven't got a big problem with the beard, Double G. I think maybe to a certain extent, like probably the length of mine now is probably the most I would say. Anything bigger than that or thicker than that, I would say no, because it can actually, cushion a few of the blows. But yeah, look, as far as the braids goes, yeah, I agree. I don't think we should have braids. I know it's a bit different in the amateurs. They've got their head guards on, they put the net on and all that sort of stuff. But if you're going to be a professional boxer, then unfortunately you've got to do what's safe for you and or mainly your opponent. They do it in sports, football, and all that sort of stuff. They've got to do something with their hair. Then maybe it's got to be. I have seen some of them. They do braid it, but they tie it back in some way so it doesn't flail everywhere. But the ones that go everywhere, then yeah, they should be banned. Interesting one, Double G. I can't believe we're having that conversation that we're banning braids in hairs in this day and age. But anyway. Dry turkey. What Australian loss was the most shocking? Tim Tszyu or Liam Paro? Definitely Tim Tszyu, dry turkey. Liam Paro, look, it was disappointing. I thought it was a disappointing performance by Liam, especially after the Sabrina Matias fight. Tim Tszyu just came out of nowhere. Again, I don't think it was any surprise that he lost, even though we all thought he would win. At that level, again, you lose fights. That's just life. But the way he lost was really, really hard to swallow, dry turkey. So that, for me, is easily the most shocking. Jules, was it confirmed that Nikita threw in the towel? Crazy that someone without an official role in the corner was the one that stopped the fight. Bucket Boy isn't official. Yeah, I'm with you, Jules. From all accounts, I hear it was Nikita Tszyu. I think he's on camera, actually, being seen throwing in the towel there, Jules. So I'm pretty sure it was him. All right, Tony, we'll get another couple of comments, then we'll get into November. Hypothetical. Will you participate for a moment? Okay, geez, all right, you got me worried there. If Tim had have won against Barkram and convincingly, what would have laid ahead of him for 2025? That's a hell of a hypothetical, Tony, considering the way he was blown away and not remotely competitive. I hate to say that, by the way. I'm not saying that in a nasty way. It's just fact, unfortunately. I wish we could rewind time. But if he had have beaten Barkram, what would have laid ahead? I think if Terence Crawford couldn't get the Canelo fight, I think he would look at Tim Tszyu. I think he's marketable. He's got the fan base here in Australia, big pay-per-view numbers, all that sort of stuff. He's known in the States. I think Terence Crawford would have seen Tim as a real challenge. I don't think Terence would have really looked at Sebastian Fundora. I don't think he's really looking for that type of fight, but we'll never know, Tony, because there's no way Terence Crawford, I would think, would be around long enough for Tim to earn another crack at him. It's a terrible result, but I think it would have definitely been Crawford, and maybe a move to middleweight after that. All right, let's get into we're up to November. Here we go. Not much again this month. I was in Penrith, on November the 20th. Paulo Akuso with a 10-round decision over Clay Waterman. That was for the WBC Australasia 175-pound belt. On the undercard, Curtis Scott with a 4-round decision over Liam Messam. And Jacob Crenshaw with a 6-round draw over Zeke Campbell. I thought it was an impressive performance from Akuso considering the circumstances. I remember watching and thinking, this is way more competitive than I would have thought. But listening to Paulo after the fight, he did say he pretty much had a 3-week training camp, lots of interruptions there. I think he had his daughter in that period as well in the training camp, so barely trained, and he still got the job done against a pretty talented fighter in Clay Waterman. So I'm really high on what Paulo Akuso can offer and what he can achieve. I just wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more, I was going to say dedication to the sport. I don't know what he does behind closed doors and in training camp, but still looks a little casual for me. I'm hoping he can really step it up and in 2025 maybe align himself with a probably bigger promoter, maybe go back to No Limit, align himself with Tasman Fighters, something like that, because that's where it's at. I'm not sure the name of the company he's with at the moment, but if I haven't heard of them, I don't think they're real big players in Australian boxing or specifically world boxing. So I would hope that Paulo would align himself with one of the bigger firms or companies in Australia to give himself the best chance at winning a world title, because I think he can do it. Paul thought Waterman at least got a draw. Yeah, it was close, Paul. It was close. I thought it was 6-4 for Akuso, but yeah, there's some close rounds in there, wasn't there? So, DJ, would you consider adding StreamYard or an equivalent for 2025 to support some open discussions on your live? Now, when you say open discussions, is that live, bringing you guys on here? Because if that's the case, I can do it. I just have chosen not to so far. And just what I originally planned for Talking Boxing was to actually have you guys come on, and whether there's a few years or one at a time. The problem is that, as you see, there's just a consistent a stream of comments coming through, so I don't want to leave anyone out, which is why I've just left it up to me commenting. But Talking Boxing was originally supposed to be you guys actually coming on to the channel and talking about whatever you want to talk about. But as I said, the problem is that we miss so many things by having you guys on. But I'm open to it for sure. And I do have StreamYard. I have used StreamYard before. I like this better. It's a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot clearer. I can do a lot more graphics. I have a lot more control over. This is Ecamm that I use at the moment. I just think it's 10 times better than StreamYard as far as what I want to do. That mightn't be the case with a lot of other people, but I just think the graphics you can see there and everything else that comes with it, I just think it's a lot easier to use, and that's why I use it, mate. But I can do whatever StreamYard can do, I can do on this. Carl Akuso talking about the business as a prospect, says everything you need to know about him. Yeah. Yep. The business, I think, comes later in your career, Carl. Once you've won a belt and, you've got a backing, you've got a promoter, you've got TV behind you, all that sort of stuff. At the moment, talking about a relatively novice in the pros who's, like you said, just talking business. So, all right, let's get through December, guys, and we'll get through a few more comments. All right, a big month for Aussie boxing. Let's go back to December the 4th in Sydney. Brock Jarvis with a 4th round stoppage over Adrian Rodriguez. A really disappointing fight, but I didn't expect anything less, if I'm being honest. Who else? Desi Robinson won the IBF 160-pound title with that 10-round decision over Kay Scott. Shannon O'Connell with the aforementioned 8-round decision over Jasmine Parr, which seems to have divided the Aussie boxing world. Callum Peters turned pro with a first-round stoppage of Mitch Holden. 3 days later in Puerto Rico, Liam Paro lost the IBF 140-pound title to Richardson Hitchens. The scorelines 116, 112, 117, 111. And strangely enough, 116, 112 for Liam Paro. Then on December the 11th at the Fortitude Music Hall, Connor Wallace with a 8th-round stoppage of Esamal Wellham. And on the undercard, Justice Honey stopped Leandro Rabuti in the second round. On the 15th of December, Teramona had a first-round stoppage in Monte Carlo, of all places, over Volodymyr Katsuk. And then the next day, Andrew Maloney won a third-round stoppage over Jacquawat Majungawan. I was at that fight at the Melbourne Pavilion. Very impressive and good to see him back on the winners list, Andrew. And then a week later, so last weekend, was it last weekend? The weekend before, was it? Whatever it was, December 22nd, in Riyadh, Dempsey McKean was stopped in the first round by, well, was not stopped, he was KO'd by Moses Otama in the first round on the undercard of Usyk Fury 2. So that is the month-by-month breakdown. As I said earlier, we went 10-10 in world title fights featuring Aussies. The men went 4-9. The girls went 6-1, not counting Kay Scott. Technically, it would be 6-2 if you include her, but the Aussies versus Aussies, it's just a little bit hard to sort of work that one out. So, all right, what else we got there, guys? Bill, Haney's are Sooks. Opposition comes in heavy with a beer, then fights hyped on drugs, and Haney's, comes in heavy with a beer, in his hands. He did too. That was Ryan Garcia. Hyped on drugs, and Haney's are the bad guys. Really, this new world is trash. Fight should have ended on the scale. Seems no point to rules. The only thing I'll say about that, Bill, I understand what you're saying, but you're right. It could have ended on the scales, but that was Devin Haney's choice. Now, Ryan Garcia came in heavy. Devin Haney had every opportunity to say, I'm not fighting. He was still got the fine money from Ryan Garcia. He could have chosen not to get in there. He took the money. The rules before the fight was that there was a penalty for coming in heavy. He didn't have an opportunity to fight for the belt. Devin Haney went tick, 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 mate, and signed off on fighting Bill. Not fighting Bill. I'm looking at your name there. Of signing Ryan Garcia. He chose to fight. I don't agree with what Ryan Garcia did. Don't get me wrong, but Devin Haney signed off to take the fight. Got the penalty money, got the money from us, not suing Garcia. It was Garcia had to pay it was a couple of $1 million or something after the fact. So he ended up making a lot of money out of the Ryan Garcia shenanigans bill. So I'm not quite sure you can level all the blame at Ryan Garcia. And Haney, look, since the fight, no matter what happened, Bill, I don't agree with them suing Ryan Garcia for battery. That is just ridiculous. But I understand it's your decision, or your prerogative there, your opinion, and that's fine. All right, Carl, I'm pretty sure I'm the only bloke repping Talking Boxing T-shirt in Queensland. We've got to change that, Carl. I've got a T-shirt to give away. Next week I'm going to give one away. I've got one left. So I'm going to, I'll give it away on the show. I've got it there. Maybe we could give it away tonight, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe come up with the best. We'll do it after I go through the pound for pound, so have a think about it now. It's an extra large T-shirt, by the way, so keep that in mind. It's a Talking Boxing T-shirt. All right, so the best fight to be made in 2025. Maybe a little bit of a left field fight. Don't go for the obvious one. I want fights that maybe no one sort of thought of before. Again, I'm going to get the rankings up at the end of our pound for pound rankings. So have a think about it. The best fight, doesn't matter if it's Aussie or world, the best fight, maybe outside the box that we maybe haven't considered that we would like to see. And I'm going to give a free Talking Boxing T-shirt to the winner. All right, we'll keep going. What's next for Jarvis? I would think Nikita Tszyu, Carl. Tony, bang on. Sorry, I've got a bit of an itchy nose here, guys. Terence Crawford would have definitely fought Tim if he had have belted Buckram. Yep, that's what my opinion, Tony. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get an opportunity to know what would have happened there, mate. Andrew, this format is good, but Lynden, you hate controversy. It's not that I hate controversy, Andrew, but you've got to remember too, like when you bring people on, look, you get some people who just they just talk shit, and it just wastes everyone's time. Then you get the ones that the stream's no good, it's bad, and lots of different things. Anyway, I'm just spitballing, but look, if that's what you wanted, maybe we can do that. I don't know, but there is a format to do it. All I've got to do is put the link in the chat, and you can go into the waiting room, and I can bring you on. So it's not an issue, but it's just the internet stream sometimes is bad, and as I said, sometimes people say ridiculous things, and it's hard to get through everyone's comments. That's all. D-Style, so I don't get why Hitchens and Paro fought in Puerto Rico. I think it was a contractual thing, D-Style. I think there was something in place, and I think what they probably imagined with Matchroom would be that Sabrio Matias would have beaten Paro, and then it would have been Matias fighting Hitchens, and of course that didn't happen. So, what's that, Carl? I like panels where guys scream at avatars. Well, hey, we can do it. I'm happy to do whatever you guys want. There might be another show we can do where it's strictly that. If you don't want to even come on the show, it might be the avatars, like you said, scream at each other, and I can be the referee in between. What about we have a debate where a topic comes up and we have one side in one argument and one side in the other, and you guys can just go for it. I don't know, but I don't know. I see some of the other channels out there when they bring people on, it just gets a bit messy. A bit ugly sometimes. I just don't need the aggravation, Carl. All right. Breakaway. Top man for answering a lot of questions. Well, there's a lot to go through, Breakaway, but I'll try and get through them all. All right, a couple more. Then we're going to get into the. We're going to get into the pound for pound list, which I'm sure will create some conversation from you guys. All right, Paul, do you think No Limit are shitting themselves about the Zone buying Foxtel? At the very least, it will mean their exclusivity clause is gone. I think that definitely happens, Paul. I think the exclusivity will be gone. I think No Limit will still have, I would think, in my opinion, Paul, what will happen is No Limit will have X amount of shows and X amount of pay-per-views, and you might find Tasman Fighters has the same. Tasman in conjunction with Matchroom, they will have X amount of shows and X amount of pay-per-views as well. I don't mind it. I think sometimes that No Limit they've got a lot of responsibility, a lot of content they've got to provide. And what that probably does sometimes, Paul, is they've got to rush shows together. They've got to put a lot of shows together at the same time so that they're not constantly trying to come up with shows. You would have seen a bit of a trend they do is they'll have 3 shows very, very quick. And I think they just get a lot of fighters, put them all together, match them, so they do them all within the space of 2 or 3 weeks so they can actually have a bit of a break. You imagine if they were doing a show every month. Very, very tough. They just would not get a break. So I don't mind it. But if they only have maybe, let's say they had 3 pay-per-views, or I'll take that back, 4 pay-per-views a year. They've got Tim and Nikita, plus they've got a few other fighters they could probably put together. Maybe 4 pay-per-views and maybe 6 No Limit on Foxes. So then they can take their time. Do one every 2 months. They should be able to get that while they'll probably exclude January and December, although there's no reason why they can't because everyone else in the world are doing shows every month of the year. So maybe they could do 6 No Limits on Foxes, so one every 2 months, the 4 pay-per-views, so that's every 3 months. Then you've got the same with Tasman Fighters, and problem solved. So we're getting 12 shows a year, free to air, then we're getting 8 pay-per-views. I think it would work. And actually, even if I was just going to say only 2, but then you got Jai and Connor and everyone else. So yeah, I reckon we could do it. 8 pay-per-views and 12 free-to-air shows per year, shared between Tasman and No Limit. I think it would work a treat. Have the pay-per-views on the main event channel. Would it be main event? Would that even be around? I doubt it. It would be the DAZN pay-per-view channel, I would think. And then use a streaming service so that the D-Styles of the world out there over in America can watch all our content on the DAZN app. I think it would work great because at the moment, I'm sure D-Style will agree, at the moment, all these No Limit shows, you can't watch them anywhere else except Main Event or Foxtel. It just doesn't make sense. At least with DAZN, you've got the app. So I think we're going to get the best of all the worlds, Paul. I think it's going to be great. All right. Speaking of D-Style, No Limit better off on DAZN. It's 2024-25. Live streaming for sports should be broadcast worldwide. 100% there, mate. All right. What's that there? I had a guy threaten me with a gun on live stream over a boxing disagreement. Okay. I think I've jumped ahead there too there, guys. I don't have the energy to debate. I'm with you there, D-Style. Sorry, I've gone ahead there, guys. Sorry, I'll go back a little bit. I jumped right ahead there, didn't I? All right. Tony says he likes the platform just the way we have it now. Good questions, concise answers, and good people. I suggest leave it as it is. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, mate. Look, there's lots of different content for different people. If you watch, say, before the fight, it's good. I like the way they get the two fighters on there. It's very low budget. He just does it on Instagram. I'm not sure he does it on YouTube, does he? But Rob does a great job. He gets the fighters on or his little panel and they all discuss it. I think that's great. Then you've got others that do their own. I just think there's room for everyone. This is my little niche, and I think it works well. I think what I don't want to do is just do what everyone else does because it just gets a little bit murky. Why are you going to log in if all these other channels are doing the same thing? So that's probably another reason, Tony. Well, I'll leave it the way it is. I can't believe D-Style you got threatened with a gun. That is just crazy. All right, Jules, philosophical question. What age are technical flaws in fighters irreversible? How many fighters make drastic technical improvements in their mid-20s? In some sports, technique is considered fixed at 12 to 14. Jules, good question. I would think mid-20s, I think that's probably about it there, mate. Depends on how long they've been boxing for. What you find is, though, even at 25 to 30, a fighter might change trainers and the trainer might implement a few things and it works. The issue is, Jules, is that once they might be fatigued, they might be hurt, you always find they'll go back to what they know. They'll go back to the basics they've been taught. You see it all the time. And they'll go back to those bad habits they used to have. That's why it's probably hard. You can show them different things after 25, but I just think they struggle for it to become part of their DNA after 24 or 25. Before that, I think there's hope. But after 24 or 25, I don't think you can work on a few different things. Maybe it's a little bit of technique. So it might be, it did actually say that there, didn't you, the technical flaws. It might be the hook, might be just a little, was it Freddie Roach did it with Manny Pacquiao, tweaked the hook, and it worked like a treat. And maybe it just comes down to the fighter as well, Jules. I don't know, but I would think 24, 25. I'll keep going through there. What's that, Andrew? Benavides Cano, give me the shirt. Is that really left to centre though, Andrew? Cal, Bivol Crawford. Wow. Think Bivol schools Crawford at light heavyweight or super middleweight. It'd have to be light heavyweight. That's a big jump. Although he wants to do it for Canelo, so maybe Cal. I like the matchup. It's a great matchup at 168 though, I'm assuming there. Paul, love the show in the format. Thank you, Paul. I think it's very fair to everyone. It's very informative in the sport. We're all here to support. Keep it up. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that, mate. What's that? He flaunted his gun and everything. Wow. See, that's why we don't do that, guys. You've just made the decision for me, D-Style. I said, never again do I drop a link. Yeah, good call there, mate. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'm with you there, Jules. I wouldn't mind going back and watching that stream. Thanks, Flash. Yep, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost at 2,000, guys, so keep them coming. Share it. Share the link. Let people know. Thanks, mate. I'm a champion. Thanks very much. Let's show some love for all the great work he brings to us fans. Thanks, Flash. I really appreciate that, mate. There's some weirdos out there. Yes, Sandy, you can test the water with guests on live panel to establish a solid panelist. But yes, there's always a nitwit out there that just wants to wreck it. Yeah. You just see some of the comments sometimes, Andy. You've seen it. You see it when we've done the live streams or the live watch-alongs, and people come in, they're looking for that stream, so they'll enter the chat. I remember we had, was it Nikita Zoo's fight? We had 17,000 people watching at one stage, and some of the idiots that were in the chat. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, it's one good thing to have all these people watching, but to what extent do you want to almost sell yourself out there and have that many people out there? You can't have that many people going at one time and not have some idiots out there. I'd rather have, what have we got at the moment? About 45 people watching. It sort of fluctuates between 40 and 50 all the time. We get a lot that watch it later and listen to it on Spotify, and that's just the way I like it. It's not necessarily about, I think, having the most views and that sort of stuff. I'm a big believer in quality over quantity, if that makes sense. All right. McKean versus Hooney. I don't mind that one. Another one there. Big J. Tim versus Brock. Ooh. Tim Zoo versus Brock Jarvis for Fight of the Year for 25. Not a bad suggestion there, Big J. Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz. That would be awesome, Carl. I like that. Fury Joshua. 0-2. God Save the Queen. I like that, mate. I love the matchup. And again, while I'm thinking of it now, I'm going to bring it up because we're going to do this at the end of it. We're going to go through the ranking, each division, and I'm going to give you my best fights to look out for. And I'm sure I had it on this list I've got here. Anyway, we'll move on. What's Big J McAllister's shirt is mine, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Andy. You can, yeah, I probably should skip through a few comments, shouldn't I? All right, Andrew, Benavidez Canelo would be huge. It certainly would be. All right, Paul, here we go. What do you got? Bakoli Usyk. Boxer, puncher, pure boxer. I'll take the shirt. Thanks, Lynden. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I reckon that's not a bad fight so far, Paul. A left of centre fight. I like it. That's probably the clubhouse leader at the moment, Paul. Jules likes the current format. We wouldn't mind the occasional regular jumping on. Would need to pick moment. You couldn't drop a link during a watch along. No, couldn't do that, Jules. Look, the other thing I've considered, Jules, and I might do that if time allows. But some of the football shows I watch, the watch alongs they do a thing called fan cams, and they do it after the watch along, which is something I don't want to keep or look like I'm ripping off other YouTube shows. But I think everyone does it to each other, and I think you make your channel better by watching what others do and just drawing from it and just putting your own spin on it. So one thing we could do is after the watch along, I could open it up, maybe not necessarily to just anyone out there, but I'd love to hear you regulars out there if you want to come on. I think we've had Carl in the past, we've had Big J, but I'd love to have D-Style. What do you got there? Andy, what have we got there? I'm just looking through there. Mutsy. There's a lot of you guys out there that give some really good content. So it might be after the fight. So let's say last week, Usyk and Fury, for maybe an hour after the watch along, we get you guys on for 10 or 15 minutes and you can give your spin, what you thought, and we can go for an hour of the fan cams. All right. I might change the name of that because that was blatantly obvious. I'm ripping off my favourite Carlton channel, by the way. It's called Blue Abroad. So if you're a Carlton supporter, watch Blue Abroad. But they do the fan cams. I think it's a great idea. So maybe that's something we can look at because I just don't want to open it up just to anybody. And they do. But their footy fans are a little bit different. And they're all Carlton fans, so they're all sort of saying what everyone else is thinking, and it's good. But I wouldn't mind in this format to maybe have just some of you guys that are in the chat all the time that I can trust to come on and have a chat about what you thought of the fight. Eminem, Bud Janabek. I like it. Eminem, you are the new leader. I love that fight. Bud Crawford, Janabek at middleweight. Love the fight. I almost scrolled past that, Eminem. That is the leader at the moment. I love it. Love that fight. There you go, Big J. There you agree. Give Mutsy... Oh, hang on, that's Mutsy. No, Eminem. Bud Janabek. That's the one for me. What do we got there? I'm calling Jai versus Otoma for the Deep Dive T-shirt. This is for 2025 Double G. I like it, but it ain't going to happen, mate. Not in 2025. I'm not even going to say that, Carl. Jake Paul, Canelo, come on. Cal, Cambosis, Stevens, but George going up in weight. This is Shakur Stevens, I'm assuming. Yeah, not bad. I still like Bud and Janabek at this stage. Bill, I hate change. I love the original deep dive, but now I love this episode as much. My opinion, best boxing channel we get. Oh, thanks very much, Bill. I get to hear about our own Warriors. Great work. Thanks very much, Bill. I really appreciate that, mate. I did speak to your mate, Tazzy, today, and he's just gotten back, of course, from overseas, and we'll get him on at some stage. He was telling me all about with Terence Crawford. How's that? I don't want to make this the Tazzy Brown hour, but hanging with the man, Terence Crawford. Just hanging with him. There's not much to do over there, he said, wherever they were at the convention, wherever it was. No, it would have been a convention somewhere else. Just hanging with Terence Crawford. Terence rings him or texts him. Come on, mate, I'll come and pick you up. We'll go for a coffee. Gets into the Ring Magazine Gala Awards. Walks the red carpet. Falls off said carpet on the stage. He saw the funny side of it, which was good. What else did he get up to? Just the first question at the press conference with Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Talk about a mover and shaker. Fair income. All right, Brian. Love the channel. Enjoyed your state's trip blog. Borochek and Murtazaliev. Thanks. That's the matchup. Okay, Borochek and Murtazaliev. I love that, Brian. And thanks very much for your comments there, mate. More to come. Looks like obviously going to do the Jai Pattaya fight next week. Maybe going to get to Japan for Jason Maloney's fight on the Nakatani undercard, and then we'll just see where it takes us this year. I'm only going to go for a week this time, but hopefully be able to get to an extra fight or two. That's what I'm planning. So at this stage, Jai, and the good thing about the Jai Pattaya fight, it's not really costing me much. It's got a lot of frequent flyer points, and my old mate Ronnie's got the apartment up there, so I'm not paying for accommodation. It's work, and I've got the free entry into the fight because of the press pass. So I'm winning on that one, but I'm going to look to maybe go to Japan for Jason's fight and many others. So maybe 3 or 4 events this year we'll get to. But I appreciate that, Brian. James, I like that for the Aussie version. Connor Wallace, Paulo Akuso. Will it happen in 2025? Will they fight each other? We'll see. Andrew, I've heard that, mate. The English ones are the worst, yep. Bud not fighting Bivol. No way, it's just too big of a jump. Bud only primarily chasing Canelo. Yeah, it's probably a good way to look at it there, mate. The next person to hold up the line trying to stash your overhead loads with wheels. Hey, I was one of those people on our last trip, Jules. I went over there and I thought, hey, as much as I hate it, hey, that's the rules. I'm going to do it. And I was one of the ones trying to stuff the bag into the overhead luggage and all the rest of it because it was a new bag that I bought myself as a Christmas present, and it was leather, and I couldn't get it in, and the angle, and I'm banging it, and I could feel the eyes in the back of my head, and you would have seen. The other thing is, Jules, not just the overhead bins one, it's the carousels. Now, my wife and my son both took checked in luggage. I had the carry on, so I was gone. I was waiting. I'm sitting there tapping the foot, waiting for them to get the luggage, and everyone just literally standing right on the edge, looking at the bags going around. They're my new pet hate, Jules. They are the enemy. The ones that stand. They have a line there for a reason. If you're one of them out there, guys, that stand on the carousel, it's not going to make it get there any quicker. It's not going to make it come around, and, the people behind you are still going to have to push past you. Just stand back. There's a line there. When it comes, just excuse yourself, walk through. You can see it coming from a mile away, and just pick it up and walk off, and everyone's going to be happy. But I've got to stand right there because that's going to make it come quicker. Please don't be one of those people. All right. Andy on board. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Who we got here? I wouldn't mind seeing Andrew Williams in there. Andy, I'd love to see there. D-Style, of course. There's a lot of yous I'd love to see yous come on there. 2025 Fight of the Year. Zoo versus Rafa either. Nah, sorry, Tony. Not with Michael Zarafa involved there, mate. I don't think any of those fights will be Fight of the Year. But anyway. All right, Paul. Australian Fight of the Year. Paro Cambosis or Hooney versus Terramona Jr. I like Hooney versus Terramona Jr. Still a little bit early for that one, and I don't think they'd fight. I think they're probably friends. But Paro Cambosis, very good fight there. Paul, it's a little bit of the obvious ones, but I like it. Canelo Beterbiev. Oh, it's a ripper, Carl. That is a sensational fight. Jules. Baggage carousel at Melbourne Airport is a liability. Now, here's one for you. Yes, Andrew. Carousel etiquette. There you go. We need to make a YouTube channel about all the peanuts at airports. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go and hang out at airports and film people and do a bit of a YouTube channel on and maybe we'll start a YouTube channel where people can actually send in the videos and we'll put the worst airport etiquette out there that everyone can film and put it on the site. There you go. That might be an idea. So those weirdest ideas that are the most popular. Jules, yes, baggage carousel at Melbourne Airport. Now, we actually came through Brisbane coming home, and originally I was like, shit, because they changed our flight. It was supposed to go from Melbourne to Dallas return, and we had to go via Brisbane. And I remember thinking, oh, shit, we've got to, it's the last thing you want to do coming home is go via somewhere else. You want to go direct. But we went through Brisbane, the best thing that's happened, because we landed on time, which was a rarity, although it was American, not Qantas, so that's one good thing. And we got off the plane. We were able to, through customs, lightning quick, and straight out, and they had a terminal thing or a little box set up. As soon as you exit customs and just show them your boarding pass, straight onto the bus, takes you to domestic and straight on. You go to Melbourne, holy shit. Sydney wasn't much better when I went through there earlier in the year, I've got to say, but Melbourne Airport, I think, is the worst in the world that I've ever been to as far as getting people through. The staff are rude. They just yell at people. They have no way of showing them where to go, but they expect everyone to know, and they yell and scream at people who don't speak English, who've never been to Australia before. It is embarrassing and a shocking first impression of Australia. I've seen it so many times. The whole way they herd you out is just ridiculous. There is no rhyme or reason which way you got to go. It is ridiculous. So anyway, so that's my thing of Melbourne Airport. It should be the best. One thing about Melbourne, though, I will say, it's got the international and domestic under the one roof. You haven't got that in Sydney, and you haven't got it in Brisbane. So that's one very important thing they've got in their favour. But it's no good if the whole thing is just a mess. It's just a dog's breakfast. So, Bakram Janabek. Bakram Murtazaliev and Janabek. Good fight, Double G. I like it. Big J, Sky, and Shannon 25. I know Shannon to take that in 2 seconds there, mate. Jules, agreed, Melbourne Airport, worst in the world. Too big, too complicated, not enough staff. Yep. Inaway, Rafael Espinoza, 126. I like that. Imagine that one. Inaway, 5-5. Espinoza, 6-1. I'd still back Inaway there, D-style. All right, one more, and then we'll get into... Oh, I like that. Sugar Neat Shotgun 2. I like that. Do you know that Aussie journalist who got to ask Fury the first question right after the fight? He thought Fury won. That's Tassie Brown, Tony. I wonder where he kept his seeing. Oh, I've got a brown nose too. Oh, if he's watching, be careful because he'll come on here. I did say to him today, I said, mate, you didn't have Fury winning, did you? I said, I had Usyk winning. And he said, oh, yeah, I thought he might have done enough to win. It was close. And, yeah, look, he's seen it the way he did. Look, he's got a soft spot for Tyson Fury, that's for sure, mate. But I just can't see any way that Tyson Fury won it, if I'm being honest. All right, quickly. Let's get into the girls. I can see a couple there. Hang on. Do you think Tank is retiring from PBC or from boxing? I think he's retiring from PBC, DJ. He's doing whatever he can to get out of there. Uh-oh, it's the wife. Hang on. Melbourne Airport and LAX definitely on par for worst airports in the world. And sad to say, Qantas now one of the worst airlines in the world. Yep. Well, Tara has to put up with all my ranting and raving and carrying on. But she's right. LAX, not much better. And that was the good thing about going through Dallas as well. Just through nice and easy. There was no massive crowds. It was just nice and cruisy. No attitude, nothing. Just nice and easy through there. So Melbourne and LAX. So the worst is when you go through LAX. Like if you're flying Melbourne, LA return, you've got to go through LA over there, and then you've got to come through Melbourne on the way home. Not good at all. And when we got back to Melbourne from Brisbane, of course, we'd already been through customs, so it was just cruise straight out of there. So it was really good. All right, let's get up the girls. The pound for pound. Now I'm just going to put it straight up, and then you guys can debate on what you think. So all right, so number 10, I've got Lynn Sandstrom. Number 9, I've got Kay Scott. Actually, we'll go from number 1. Sky Nicholson, the number 1 pound for pound female. Shanika Johnson, number 2. Desley Robinson, excuse me, number 3. Shannon O'Connell, number 4. Louisa Bam Bam Horton, number 5. Jasmine Parr, number 6. Taylor Robinson, number 7. Shay Keneally, number 8. Kay Scott, number 9. Lynn Sandstrom, number 10. I'll let you have a little bit of a look at that, and you can come back at me with your thoughts. Now, just a quick overview of that. I think Sky Nicholson, unquestionably the number 1 at the moment. Shanika Johnson, even though she only fought once, hard to argue with the fact that she's the WBA champion. Desley Robinson, I think, has done enough this year to earn the number 3. Shannon O'Connell's come from nowhere. Louisa Horton, the same, was out for a long time, had a really good win over Viviana Ruiz. So I think she enters the equation again. Jazzy Parr and Taylor Robinson, both really good young up-and-comers still. Shay Keneally, look, she probably should be higher because of the belt she won, but that girl she fought for the world title was just horrendous, and I want to see her in a big fight before we rank her any higher. Kay Scott, thought she had a good year apart from the loss to Desley Robinson, and Lynn Sandstrom did everything right except win that world title fight. So, what's that there? Versus Justin Crawford, you're dodging. I wouldn't like the fight, Justin. He's probably about 3 to 4 divisions above me. But no, Crawford's a great fighter in his day, Andrew. And is the type of fighter you wouldn't want to fight because he just keeps coming. He throws lots of punches and he's got the heart of a lion, mate. So, yeah, I don't think I would have liked to afford him back in the day. Lopsided gift against Raven. I thought she won the fight pretty clearly, DJ. I don't know. What's that, Big J? Disagree. Melbourne Airport is excellent. The best feature of Melbourne, so I can leave for quite. Yeah, it is, mate. It's like that. Oh, come on, Andrew. Don't be like that. Taylor been getting gift decisions. She has D-style. Yep, for sure, mate. Thanks, Carl. That's awesome, mate. So what do we think there, guys? So just quickly, so Sky Nicholson 1, Shanika Johnson 2, Desi Robinson 3, Shannon O'Connell 4, Louisa Horton 5. Jasmine Parr 6, Taylor Robinson 7, Shay Keneally 8, Kay Scott 9, Lynn Sandstrom number 10. All right, guys, we'll contact Eminem. I don't know how you do it. If you got the 2 tickets for the Opatai Nyika fight, I'm sure someone will buy them, mate, especially now that it's sold out. All right, well, since no one's really interested in the females, let's get to the males. I'm sure there's going to be some conversations about this one. Let me just run through it before you come at me, guys. Number 1, Jai Pataya. Probably not much to worry about there. Number 2, Jason Maloney. Number 3, Liam Paro. Number 4, Tim Zhu. Number 5, George Kambosos Jr. Number 6, Sam Goodman. Number 7, Andrew Maloney. Number 8, Liam Wilson. Number 9, Justice Honey. Number 10, Nikita Zhu. So let me just go through it. I think number 1 is, I think it's a given. The thing is with number 2, 3, 4, and 5, they've all lost their last fights, which is just crazy. And it could have been number 6 as well. And number 7 with Andrew. Andrew only fought last week. And so Liam's okay. We could have had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 coming off losses if we had been doing this a week or 2 ago. So it's pretty crazy. Now, again, Jai Pataya is probably not one you can. I don't think you can argue with. Jason Maloney, I've gone with is because I think he had a really good win at the start of the year, and an extremely competitive loss, if you want to call it that, against Takai for that belt. And I think he just showed that he's really at the level. Lost a close decision. I think he's just done enough to warrant that number 2 spot. Now, I'm not going to argue with anyone that has maybe 3, 4, or 5 above him. It's just my personal opinion. Liam Paro, look, as good as the Matthias fight was, I just thought the Hitchens loss was really disappointing. It was pretty one-sided, unless you're that judge that had him winning 8 rounds to 4, which I still can't get my head around. I just thought it was a disappointing loss by Liam. Tim Zhu speaks for itself. Now, George Kambosos is interesting. He's been ultra-competitive, while arguably ultra-competitive in most of his fights, but technically the Maxi Hughes fight, like most people there, I thought he was lucky. He could have lost his last 4 fights, so I've got him at number 5. Sam Goodman has done more than enough, I think, to warrant number 6. Andrew Maloney, look, he's lost fights to the best fighters in the world. So, and I don't think there's anyone below him that's done any more than him, which I think warrants number 7. Liam Wilson, disappointing in the Valdez loss, but I thought he fought really well in that fight till he got in the trenches and had a really good win over Yusuf Dib at the tail end of the year. Justice Honey, I think, is a great young talent, is on the march, and I think he's done enough to warrant number 9. And Nikita Zoo, look, arguable. There's probably Matteo Tapia. I just thought Matteo was really disappointing in his win, or the draw, whatever it was, in the States on the Tim Zoo undercard. And I just couldn't see anyone that's done more than Nikita Zoo this year. I'm sure you guys might find someone, but that's my list there anyway. So Opataya 1, Jason Maloney 2, Liam Paro 3, Tim Zoo number 4, George Cambosis Jr. 5, Sam Goodman 6, Andrew Maloney 7, Liam Wilson 8, Justice 29, Nikita Zoo number 10. Jules, personally, I don't think George is in the top 10, given his recent record and ability. Who'd you back at 140 between George and Billy Polkinghorne? I still back George, Jules. Look, you got to remember, George has lost to Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Before that, I mean, he beat Teofimo Lopez, so that alone gives him a lot of brownie points. And look, I'm looking at what's Sam Goodman done that's better than George Cambosis. Andrew, arguable, but he hasn't won an undisputed world title in Andrew. I know we're going on recent form, and I know you've got to have the balance of recent form versus previous accomplishments. I get that, but in my opinion, none of those fighters below George have done much more than him. I don't think, me personally, Jules, I don't think anyone would not have him in the top 10. I just couldn't see 10 other fighters in Australia being in front of him. But I would still back him against Billy Polkinghorne. Well, there you go. D-Style, he agrees says that Cambosis is the number 1. Yeah, it's a hard one, DJ. Resume, activity, opponents, so much comes into it. Call it gut feel, DJ. It's a hard one. What's up, Bill? Justin Crawford was original Pac-Man before many keep coming forward. He did, mate. So fit and hard and strong was Crawford, one of the great amateur fighters we've had. Andrew, the women's Sky, the only one with real talent. Okay. Look, Paul, the only reason I haven't got Connor Wallace in there, and I know this is a point of conjecture for people, he's not an Australian. He is a Irishman, born and bred, who's based himself here for his career, and that's why I can't have him there, mate. I know, look, I'd still argue whether he'd be above Nikita and Justice anyway. Maybe he would, but that's the reason why, mate. Look, I know I probably upset some people with that, but he's an Irishman who's based himself here for his career. So, I don't know. Maybe some people put him in, but if you want to, that's fine. I wouldn't argue with it, but for me, I'm just putting him out at the moment. Stevie Spark will push Nikita out if he's actually returning. We'll see. Yes, Carl, there's Connor Wallace. Yeah, Connor, Irish-born, British-raised, and now living in God's country. That's the reason why, Carl. Dang, Zarafa doesn't crack the top 10. He's not going to be a fan of this list if he sees it. He won't, mate. He'll probably, I don't know whether he watches or not. He's liable to text me or ring. Oh, he won't ring me, but he'll text me or whatever. What's he done, D-Style? What's he done above these guys? And I don't want to lay the boots into Zarafa, but you brought it up. He's a very, very good Australian fighter, but this year, totally wiped off the park as far as his fight with Lara goes, and he had a 1-round retirement win over Tommy, what was his name? I was going to say Tommy Mercury. You know what I'm talking about. Tommy Brown. So I just don't think he's done enough to be in front of Nikita. Probably Nikita, Justice, and Liam are the 3 I've got in front of him. And look, Liam's shown he's at the level. He's been very competitive in his world title fights. Justice is on his way. I think he's definitely on his way, as is Nikita. I just don't think either Zarafa's done more than either of those guys. But anyway, it's just my opinion. So Zarafa took step-aside money to let Nikita Lyndon's loose. Yeah. Look, Jules, you're right. I think maybe it came down to Paulo and Nikita for that number 10. This is Paulo Akuso you're talking about there. I'm with you, mate. And it was a really hard decision with Paulo Akuso. I just don't think he was ultra impressive in his last fight, mate. He hasn't really had that many fights either. Look, he's right on the cusp, and I think he has the ability at some stage to be the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in Australia, mate. Maybe once Jai's out of the picture. But yeah, no, it was a tough one, Jules, and I wouldn't argue if someone had him in above Nikita and Justice for sure. Yeah, she was born. She was born in New Zealand, Paul. She wasn't raised there. Her family moved to Queensland when she was very young, and she had all her amateur career in in Queensland under Mark Wilson, and then she was she an amateur with Mark? Whatever it was, but she fought for Australia in the amateurs, turned pro, and has fought for Australia ever since, mate. So I know it's a bit of a fine line. I'm not saying you've 100% have to be born here, but you have to have been raised here and had your career here. Connor Wallace came here, about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. So, and he's he's pushing 30 years of age, which is why, again, I've never had Costa in my pound for pound list either. But she was born in New Zealand but raised in Australia, Paul. So we're claiming her as an Aussie, I suppose. Not a bad one, Jules. I don't mind that. Here's the list for you. Where was it? Need a top 10 of boxers based in Australia. Can we claim Karayev? Yeah, I'd like to claim him, mate. Make no mistake about that. Flash, great to see Kostya back in Sydney. He's planning to do a bit of training with Nikita and Tim after he returns from his honeymoon. Yeah, and he's doing, I think, a bit of a tour around Australia. Flash, I know he's in Melbourne and Sydney. I'm not sure if he's in Brisbane. Definitely Melbourne and Sydney. Zarafa went the distance with Cal Brook. Could Nikita? You're talking 6 years ago, Andrew, and he just wasn't competitive. He lost nearly every round. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about here and now. I mean, I've always said fighting the best and being competitive against the best are two different things. I just think you're right. Nikita hasn't fought that type of fighter yet, but it's not like Michael was competitive in the fight and won rounds. As I said, he pretty much lost every round. In my opinion, Cal could have got him out of there any time that he wanted to. He wanted to take him 12 rounds. So, I mean, good on Michael for taking the fight. But I don't know. And we don't know Nikita actually takes the shot. I mean, again, it comes down to criteria, doesn't it? It comes down to maybe gut feel. You're right. Michael fought Cal Brook. He fought Peter Quillen. He fought Erizandi Lara. But wasn't really competitive in any of those fights. I'm just stating facts there, mate. So, look, and this is the thing. What criteria did you go by? Actual results, actual resume, actual what-ifs. There's so many things that come into it. I just think there's a massive difference between fighting some of the best fighters in the world and being competitive against some of the best fighters in the world. And Nikita, we'll see. What's that, D-Style? It's like putting D-Style on Australian Boxing Channel pound for pound list. Yeah, there you go. Maybe we need to do a pound for pound list of Aussie boxing channels. Who have we got? You got myself. There's a Jai. Now, Jai doesn't do any shows, man, but he's a content creator. Before the fight, Oz Boxing, Australian Boxing Central. There's 5. So don't put them up there either, guys. I don't want to put that on yous. But all right, Jules, agree. Wallace, not an Aussie, but definitely contributes to the Oz boxing scene. 100% there, mate. Yeah, Mule, massive, big differences from the start to the end of 2024. Yep, I agree. Zarafa getting shit on always cracks me up. It seems to happen a lot, D-Style. Maybe we need to have a bit of a competition of who's the most popular fighter in Australia and the most least popular. I think Michael would win that hands down. It's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. What's that, Bill? Nikita gets near KO'd every fight by less competition than any of losses. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, but you can only just go by what they've done, Bill. I mean, we're talking hypotheticals, and you're right. Nikita has really struggled. We'll see what he's like when the competition improves. I'm just saying, though, Bill, is that Michael hasn't been competitive in those fights. Again, it's not my opinion, it's fact. And I'm not saying it again to lay the boots in the Michael. It seems like I do it all the time, but I'm being asked my opinion, that's it. He's been uncompetitive in those fights. So how can you rate him? Anyway, it's each to their own. All right, Jules, what do you got? Jai, Sam Goodman, number 2. Liam Paro, 3. Tim Zhu, 4. Nikita Zhu, 5. Well, there you go. Bill wouldn't even have him in the top 10. Jason Maloney, Justice Honey, Connor Wallace, George, and Zarafa. Okay, well, again, I wouldn't put Connor in there. That's cool. Is that right, Paul? I wasn't aware. I thought she was born here, Paul. Okay, well, if that's the case, Paul, then scrap Lynn Sandstrom from the records. I'm going to put in someone like a, what's her name? The young blonde girl trained with Johnny Lewis. Ella Boot.
she's probably the next best one in line. There you go. All right. I'm happy to take it on the chin, excuse the pun. I thought she was Australian born. If that's the case, though, Paul, scrap her, and in comes Ella Boot. Or Chanel Dargan, one of those two. All right, now for the world top 10 there, guys. Keep the comments coming there, and I'll keep going back over them. No problems there. What's that, Tony? I like Zarafa. He sells fights. He makes boring fights interesting. He gets people talking and sells tickets. Honestly, I wish him all the best. Yeah, no, I do too, Tony. Again, no matter, everything I say on here is never personal. I'm pretty sure I've never said anything personal about anyone, that they're a dickhead or a prick or a whatever, big head, whatever it might be. It's always just opinion based on what's in the ring. And my opinion in the ring is I just don't think he's been at the level in his fights. As simple as that. So, all right, Carl. Love the comments on Zarafa. He should retire. Who does he fight? It's been going around him. Don't blame Tim with the promise he made to his pop. Yep. That's why I don't think the fight happens, Carl. I'd be very, very surprised because Tim has said he made a promise to his grandfather. What did he say? He's not going to fight. What did he call him? Did he call him a dickhead or something like that? I can't remember, but either way. Keep the comments coming, guys. I'm going to go into the world top 10, and this is where I'll probably guarantee there's going to be some kickback. All right, you ready for it? Here we go. Pound for pound, number 1, Alexander Usyk. Number 2, Naoya Inoue. Number 3, Terence Crawford. Number 4, Canelo Alvarez. Number 5, Artur Beterbiev. And the reason I'm reading these out, guys, is because we have people on Spotify that obviously can't see the list up. Number 6, Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Number 7, Dimitri Bivol. Number 8, Junto Nakatani. Number 9, Javonte Tank Davis. And here's the surprising one. Number 10, Yanabek Alam Kanuli. Now, I think the top 2 you could probably put in any order that you want to. I just think as good as Naoya Inoue has been this year, Usyk beating Fury twice, I think you've got to give him the nod. You've got to think of a reason to give it to one or the other. Up until the Fury fight, I would have had Inoue, but after last week's win, I've got Usyk at number 1, Naoya Inoue at number 2. Terence Crawford, I assume you could probably make the case that he could be in that top 1 or 2, but when you're fighting once a year, I just don't see it. And his last fight with Madrimov was, I think, very unimpressive. So that's why I've got him at number 3. Canelo Alvarez, you could probably make a case for him or Artur Beterbiev being in that order. Wouldn't argue with anyone that have Beterbiev at number 4. But for me, I've got Canelo, 2 impressive wins this year. Beterbiev with the controversial loss to Bivol, but he did get the chocolates, of course. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, what a fighter he is, and I think he'll rocket up the charts. 7, Dimitri Bivol. Well, I think he's done enough to warrant being in the top sort of 7 there. Junto Nakatani coming with a bullet. Javonte Tank Davis, who made the comment there. Yeah, Carl, I get what you're saying there, mate, but I couldn't really think of anyone that could go in above him. I mean, he's an impressive young guy. Maybe you could have Teofimo Lopez. Maybe you could have Shakur Stevenson. Neither one of them have been really active. Devin Haney out. Ryan Garcia, I don't think, has done enough. I don't know, mate. And for Yanabek, the reason I've gone for him is, again, I looked at the guys like Haney, Garcia, who else did I say? Teofimo Lopez. I just couldn't see those guys putting him against Yanabek. I know he only fought Andrei Mikhailovich in his last fight, but up until then, the guy's just been a killer, an absolute killer. And I just thought, mate, call it a gut feel why I've got him at number 10. But give me your thoughts. Who would you have in front of him? Jules says he's surprised by Yanabek, but actually think that's a great call. How far out of 10 is Jai? I would have him at 11 or 12, Jules. He's right on the cusp. Maybe let's just pick a number and call him number 12. If he beats, well, look, not so much Nyika, but if he was able to beat Zurdo Ramirez, I would definitely have him probably in the top 7 or 8. He right on the cusp, Jules. Right on the cusp. All right, Paul, there's one. Get Tank out of the list, and it's spot on. All right, let me know who you'd put in there instead there, Paul. Who has he beat? Well, he's beaten Pitbull. He's beaten Leo Santa Cruz. He beat Ryan Garcia. I mean, he's got a pretty impressive resume there. Frank Martin, a lot of people raving about him. Who has he beaten that's not like some of the other guys? I mean, Terence Crawford over Madrimov. Yeah, I don't think Madrimov was overly great. I don't know. Each to their own. Junto Nakatani, I mean, questionable. Andy was obviously one of his better wins. Look, I don't know. It's all subject to debate, isn't it? But I think Tank's done enough. Just my opinion. Who else have we got there? Eddie clearly wants to do a supercard in Australia, England versus Australia to coincide with the Ashes in 25. That'd be good there, mate. Junto needs to unify 118 or move up to 122. Yep. What do we got? Love your work. Top 10 similar. Good stuff, Carl. I think everyone's is around the mark, and I get it like with most top 10s, maybe from, let's just say, 9 and 10 downwards. There's going to be probably another 6 fighters you could probably put in there. So, but me, I stand by my list. Carl, he's fought at 135 for 5 years and fought 0 champions and hasn't unified. That's terrible. Oh, Carl, you've been a bit harsh there. Look, there you go. Andrew agrees. Tank is class. Look, 135, but as I said, Carl, we beat Leo Santa Cruz at the lower weight. Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Ryan Garcia. There's 3 really good names there that he's beaten. Again, Frank Martin. I think you've been a little bit harsh on Gervonta Tank Davis. I think, again, what other fighters would you put in front of him? I wouldn't. Shakur Stevenson, what's he done? Who has he beaten? Apart from Oscar Valdez, 0. Devin Haney, okay, he looked good against George. He beat Loma, of course. Loma was the other one I was tempted to put in there, but he's now retired, apparently. So, who else? Teofimo Lopez fights what's he fight? Once every 18 months or something. Not the best opposition, not the best performances. So, again, who would you put in front of those guys? You'd have Teo, that's cool. Yep. Yeah, okay, Jules. Not a bad call there. I'll take that. David Benavides, okay. Yep, he's probably 11 or 12. Yep, okay. What's that? Do you carry purses, Linda? I'm not quite sure what that is there, mate. But anyway. Fundora's sister this year, youngest ever male or female in history to be undisputed. Yeah, that's for the girls. Yep. That's international girls, though, DJ. Teo is way better than Tank. Yeah, well, we might get the opportunity to see that. D-Style, all jokes aside, some of these, we're talking about the girls and the amateurs are very good. This 17-year-old trains with Christine. Her parents got her flights at Texas, and she's very talented. And there's others, and the boys too. Yeah, Nick Ball, no, I would probably have out of that, definitely David Benavides, Jai Pataya, Shakur Stevenson, either Garcia or probably Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. There's probably a few in front of him, I reckon. Mule. Yeah, I think so. But there it is. That's my list. Keep going with it there. 2 lineal champions. Yeah, but he hasn't really done a lot lately, though, Carl. Very unimpressive in his last couple of fights. Look, as I said, 9 and 10 downwards, I'm sure you could probably slip another couple in there. But the top 8, I don't think there's much argument there. As I said, maybe 1 or 2 Usyk, and in a way you might swap around. Maybe Alvarez or Canelo and Beterbiev. Maybe it's Bivol and Tank. I don't know, but yeah, no one is way better than Tank. Yeah, no, good call. There you go, DJ. Teofimo hasn't won shit at 140. See, this is the reason why we don't probably get everyone on. There'd be a bit of a shit fight going on at the moment. I'm happy. Look, I put these lists up knowing there's going to be some people come at me, and that's fine. This is why we discuss it. As long as we all do it nicely, then no problem. All right, Matsy, you'd swap 5 and 6. So who's that? Beterbiev and Bam. Okay, so you have Bam at 5, Beterbiev at number 6. Can't argue with the list. Usyk has to be 1. He beat it. Yeah, twice. Yeah, he did, mate. He did. All right, well, while we're going over that, I'll let you guys talk about Tank in the chat there. But there it is. And we all do our lists, but this is mine. All right. Now, I know why I had a completely different list. That's why I haven't got it on my thing. All right, so we're running out of time anyway. What I want to do is go through the rankings. I want to give you my fight per division that I would love to see. All right, at a heavyweight, the fight I would love to see in 2025, strangely enough and surprisingly, is Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua. I think now is the time. I think Alexander Usyk against Dubois, yeah, it'd be good. We've already seen the fight. Usyk stopped Dubois last time. I don't think Atama's anywhere ready. I don't think, even with all the talk, that he goes back to cruiserweight. So for me, hang on, we've got a super chat. Sorry about that. I've missed it. $5 from D-Style. Thanks, mate. I agree with your top 10 pound for pound most part. I think Jai can be there. If not, he's not far. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. 11 or 12 for me. But at heavyweight, I think Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, more than ever makes sense right now. So I think even both guys coming off losses, all that sort of stuff, I think Fury Joshua is the fight to make in 2025 that would have the most appeal. At cruiserweight, pretty easy. Jai Pataya, Zurdo Ramirez. Light heavyweight. Now this is one might surprise a few people. I'd like to see Artur Beterbiev and David Benavidez. That's the fight I would like to see at light heavy. They've got to both get through the fights, of course. Beterbiev has got to beat Bivol. Benavidez. So what did I say? Hang on. Beterbiev has got to beat Bivol, and Benavidez has got to beat Morrell. So Beterbiev and Benavidez is the fight I would like to see at that weight. At super middleweight, I would like to see Saul Canelo Alvarez and Christian Mbili. Not much to see there apart from that. Christian Mbili, I think, the only logical one there. At 160, I would like to see Janabek Alam Kanuli and Erizlandi Lara. A good fight. Not much happening at 160. Fury versus the bodybuilder. Yep. Usyk Dubois won't happen because Parker's going to win. Tank Lamont Roach. Yeah, I agree. All right. At 154, the fight I would like to see the most is Bakram Murtazaliev and Virgil Ortiz. That is the fight I would like to see. So, yeah, Bakram Murtazaliev, Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, it could be D-Style. Could be Usyk and Joseph Parker. Yep. What do you think of that one, guys? At welterweight, slim pickings there. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'd like to see Mario Barrios versus Conor Benn at welterweight. Not much happening at welterweight. Sorry, not Mario Barrios. Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis versus Conor Benn. That is the fight I'd like to see. Not much happening there unless Ryan Garcia goes up. At 140, I think the fight I had there was Teofimo Lopez and Richardson Hitchens. I think that fight would be a ripper. At lightweight, this is where it gets interesting. For me, Tank Davis versus William Zepeda is the fight for me. Nah, Jules, I'm not really into that fight. It's a catch weight. Oh, I don't think it's that great a fight. At 157 catch weight, nah. So, yeah, so what did I say? Lightweight, Javante Tank Davis and William Zepeda at 135. At 130, I'm just picking these up as I go, guys, because, again, I forgot to put my list up. I think I had Emmanuel Navarrete and Oshaki Foster. Good fight. At featherweight, some good fights to be made there. Rafael Espinoza, Nick Ball. What a fight that'd be. So that's the fight I'd like to see at 126. At 122, this is where it gets interesting. I had Naoya Inoue and Murajan Akhmadaliev. That's the fight at 122. Now, I know you're all probably saying, well, hang on, what about Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez? I want to see them fight at 118. That's the fight I'd like to see. Junto Nakatani, Jesse Bam Rodriguez at 118 with the winner to fight Inoue. Then, actually, do I have at 115? I think it was, wasn't much happening there. Maybe that was Bam against Chocolatito. Maybe I've mixed that up. But anyway, at flyweight, well, I don't know. You could pick a few there. I'm not going to sort of go all the way down there because I'm not really familiar with a lot of those. But what do you think? Let us know there, guys. What do you think of those fights? They're my international fights of the year for 2024. If I had to pick a fighter of the year myself, I would say Alexander Usyk. If I had to pick fight of the year, oh, geez. I'm not even going to attempt that. What I would say would be round of the year was What's his name? Abdullah Mason. Who was it that he fought? I'm going to look him up now so I can read his name. Johan Vasquez. What a round that was. Round number 1. So that's got to be round of the year. Prospect of the year, I would say, it'd have to be Itama, wouldn't it? Have to be him? Surely. Upset of the year would have to be Sarasi, whatever it is, against Munguia. What else have we got there, guys? I don't know. Can you have a disappointment of the year? I don't know. I'm probably talking highlights of the year. For Aussie boxing, highlight of the year for me would be Liam Paro beating Sabriel Matias. The low light would be Tim Tszyu against Bakram Murtazaliev. Yeah, Bivol, better beef, yep. Oh, thanks, DJ. Aussie prospects to watch for 2025. All right, well, let me just bring up the ANBF rankings. All right, prospects. All right, we'll go through a few. Where are we? Ratings. National. All right. Come up there. All right. Terramona. He's probably the main one at heavyweight, you'd have to say. It's interesting, too, that David Nyeka is ranked in cruiserweight in the Australian rankings. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, so definitely Terramona there. Who else have we got? Looking through there. Does Paulo Acuso qualify? Probably not. Luke Modini at cruiserweight. I'm just looking at the light heavyweights. I'd like to see Jack Gipp get back into it. I think the Conor Wallace fight was a bit early for him. Good young prospect. I'll just keep looking through there. Not so much at 168. At 160. Nope. I was just going through the weight divisions here, guys. At super welterweight, so 154. The jury's out on Ben Mahoney. As far as prospects go. Jason Malia, I'd like to see him step up. Little Vegas Larfield, I'm a big fan of his. John Manu, keep a look out for him. A really, really good prospect. Went to America a bit too early. I think he's definitely one to watch out for. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably about it, I reckon. That's probably about it. I don't know. Give me your thoughts here, guys. Yes, Jules. Yep, Kira Rustin. Yep, I like that. Good young prospect. Yeah, I'm with you, Carl. Fred Azirwa, if we can get fights. Yep. Yeah, another good one. Thanks, guys. This makes my job a bit easier. Max McIntyre. Yep, definitely. Yeah, Terramona, we said him. Yeah, Callum Peters, Paul. Yep, Kira Rustin. Yep, I like that. Lilo Telepe. Good calls there. What's that, Andrew? Jazzy Passy's good looking. Nikita's still a prospect. Yeah, probably D-style. He's had about 10 or 11 fights now. Yeah, well, prospect, yeah. I think anything under probably about 12 fights I think would qualify. What else have we got there? I think that's almost... I think we've done pretty well to actually get through all that, guys. I think we've done... the winner of the T-shirt. What was the fight? Who was it? I have to go back. Where was it? I should have written it down. Hang on, I have to go back through the comments here. Let me. There's a lot of comments coming through. Which one was it? Opatai Bivol at cruiserweight. Where was it? It was a black. Where are we? Okay, another one for Opatai Bivol. Yeah, we had that one. It wasn't that one, though. Which one was it? I'll keep going. There it is. The fight from the left field. That would be a blockbuster, in my opinion. And yours, Eminem, I think it was. Bud versus Janabek. I like the fight. Terence Bud Crawford versus Janabek. Alan Canuli at 160. Totally left field fight that would really get the juices flowing. So Eminem, you're going to win the T-shirt. Go on to the Deep Dive Instagram page, Eminem. Send me your name and address, and I'll post the T-shirt up to you. So that is the extra large Talking Boxing T-shirt. So thanks to everyone for your contributions there. I think that was it. I hope that was the one. What do we got there? So Barkram Bowl Truck. Yep, I don't mind that one. Nikita, Mr. Excitement. Yep. Yeah, thanks, Jules. It was Eminem. Yep. So just go to Instagram there, mate, and give us your thoughts. Who's the most exciting fighter in Australia and the world? Geez, D. So I think the most exciting fighter in Australia would have to be Nikita, wouldn't it? Because he's the most kamikaze. I'm just trying to think. Who else we got there, guys? The most exciting. Yeah, I would think. Yeah, Nikita Zoo. Only because he takes too many risks there, D-Style. As far as the world goes, it has to be Inoue, doesn't it? I mean, he just tries to take you out every single punch. So I would say Inoue. Bam Rodriguez, maybe. But no, I'd still stick with Inoue. What's that, DJ? She may be attractive as a Jazzy Par, but don't piss her parents off. They can both fight. Tournament at 154 once PBC folds will be good. Yep, we can do that. We'll do a bit of a oh, here we go. You hate me and need a T-shirt. I'm extra large, and we'll see what we can do for you, Andrew. Did you put a fight in? Oh, Jules. Okay, I like this. The most improved fighter in 2024. Is this Australia or the world? As far as Australia, I think, as far as Australia goes, for the girls, I'd say Desley Robinson. I think she was very much improved. For the males, probably hard to go past Jai Pataya. I think he's gotten better. I think Jason Maloney showed a lot of improvement even though he lost. I think Jai Pataya, it's hard to go past him as the most improved fighter. Liam Paro as well. I don't know. There's so many. For the girls too, Sky Nicholson. I'm going to go with Desley Robinson as the most improved female fighter. This is in Australia. And if Jai Pataya, can he get any better? I just think he improved as the year went on. Oh, yeah, Bam, most exciting, yep. Barkram versus Janabek. That would be exciting. Is that right, Andy? Was that on there? Maybe I missed that one. I'll stick with Crawford, though. Callum Peters and Kiri Rushton, more 2026, 27 prospects, but look great at the moment. I agree, Bill. Very, very good young prospects. But keep an eye. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Terramona. Keep a watch out for him. He's going to do some real damage. Yeah, at world level. Yep, Bam. Okay, yep. Not Tim. Come on, D-Style. Be careful. You won't get Tim or Glenn on the show anymore. I don't think Glenn had bat an eyelid at that, mate. I think he's as you know, he's an absolute straight shooter, is Tim. Oh, card of the year. Geez, I wish I had a bit more notice here. I would say for Australia, where was that card? I'll go back a bit. Probably the Nikita Zoo Koa Mazudia card, I reckon, Paul, because there was, who was on the undercard of that? Oh, no, I was just going to say Connor Wallace and Jerome Pampelone was on the undercard. But then you had Michael Zarafa, Tommy Brown, which is a real disappointment. I'll just go back through a few. Oh, it's got to be Australia. It's got to be the George Kambosos, Vasily Lomachenko card. So Kambosos, Lomachenko, Andrew Maloney, Pedro Guevara, Shanika Johnson, Nina Hughes, and Lucas Brown on the card as well. I think Joseph Goodell fought Django on there as well. So, no, definitely the Kambosos Lomachenko is the best card I think we've had in Australia this year. Card of the year. Ooh, well, I think you could probably pick a few different ones. Oh, just hard to, off the top of my head there, Paul. Oh, geez, I don't know. One of the, which one was it? I don't know. I can't. There's been that many Riyadh cards. I forget which ones. Maybe the one with Crawford and Madrimov. There was a lot of undercard fights in that, wasn't there? I don't know. Good question, though, mate. Most impressive KO of the year. I would say Saras over over Mungia. What was the other one? Oh, no. Most impressive KO, Anthony Joshua over Francis Ngannou, surely. And Sarase over Mungia would be the runner-up, or vice versa. I mean, the Joshua fight's probably I was going to say, apart from Sarase over Mungia, just that one punch, just bang. Just one punch knockout. So either one of those. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Joshua. Yeah, Andrew. Yep, Jai, most improved, most everything. Fundora needs to get busy. He needs to get this Spence fight done and dusted. Done or defend the belt. I agree, Andy. Like, he hasn't fought since late March. Tim's the one that had the major injury, and he's had a fight since then, and Fundora hasn't even got a fight scheduled. Been talking about this Spence fight for the last 6 months. What's happening? You had Fundora himself say that he went to the WBC convention to ask what was happening. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Angelo, Leo, Luis Alberto Lopez was Makari. That was a good knockout, Carl. Yep. Yeah, that was good too. Dubois versus AJ. Yep. Madrimov and Bud Bolchok versus Virgil was my favourite. The 42-hour Saudi card with Joshua and Wyland was great. Yeah, except for the main event. It was a bit average. But yeah, overall. Dubois, KO, AJ. Look, it was good, D-style. But I mean, the fact that he pretty much just rolled his fist over and AJ ran straight into it. With AJ, I mean, it's like Ngannou's standing right in front. He just lines him up and just hits him with a beautiful right hand that just knocked him out. Same as Sarase over Mungia. So I think Joshua and Ngannou was the best one for me. Yep. The turkey, yep. Poor AJ was trash talking in corner before he got sparked out. He looked over the ropes, didn't he? Dubois, Joshua. Joshua tried to pick himself up off his face. Yeah. Again, though, I just reckon because he just turned the fist over, I know a knockout's a knockout, but it wasn't as spectacular because he just rolled the fist over and AJ just ran straight into it and down he went. But I think for being spectacular, it's Joshua over Ngannou. But I'll tell you what, Sarase over Mungia was a very, very close second for me. Yeah, good one, Bait. The next 5-5, great card, mate. Excellent card. Yep, D-Style AJ nominated from both sides. What's that, Carl? Learning the Saudi national anthem for 2025 in Turkey, we trust. Yep, 100%. Guys, look, I think that might do it. We've got a couple more comments there. Sarase Mungia, biggest upset. Yep, for sure. Leo over Venado up there. AJ, previous champ, beating novice boxing. Yeah, well, that's probably another thing. Maybe Sarase was the upset of the year and KO over the year. It was a beautiful knockout. Just one punch. Bang. Oh, best heart shown in 2024. Jeez, I tell you what, you'd almost go for our man Tim Zugels. I mean, against Fundora, I mean, it was almost stupidity, though, from his corner for letting him go out. But as far as Tim goes himself, to fight 12 rounds with that cut on his head, but then also against Murtazaliev, he could have easily stayed down. He kept getting up one after the other. Liam Wilson, Andrew, yeah, good call, mate. Yep, he showed a ton of guts for sure. D-Style, the Mungia one was just shocking and unexpected, but AJ over Ngannou the one was more devastating. Yeah, I agree. Talk about putting a dent in the MMA fighters coming over the boxing D-Style. It was all over, wasn't it? I think a lot of them will think twice about that because I think, for me, Joshua's the first real boxer that an MMA fighter has fought. Don't worry about the Jake Pauls of the world and all those types of guys. The first MMA guy that stepped into the ring with an elite boxer. An elite MMA guy against an elite boxer. And I think AJ said, enough is enough of this shit, and just made an example out of him. So I think you might see the MMA guys just chilling a little bit about stepping in the ring in the future with proper boxers. Well, guys, look, we're going to call it a night after that. We're about 8 minutes over schedule. It's been a fantastic episode. Thanks so much for everyone's content. M&M, don't forget to send me a message with your details, and I'll send you the shirt. I guarantee there'll be more giveaways, guys. I'll find something for you guys out there that keep putting the content in. So I really appreciate everyone that's tuned in this year. Don't forget, Walking Boxing will still be going right through. Next week will be the Jai Pattaya fight, complete with the first edition of 2025 of Talking Boxing and everything else as well. And the daily, yeah, there'll be daily vlogs as well on the YouTube page. So, guys, Yeah, sorry, Andrew. The voice is not doing that well at the moment, mate, so it's going to have to do for now. But, guys, again, hope you have a great New Year's Eve. Don't drink too much. Again, thank you for everyone for your support this year. It's meant a lot. We want to keep pushing towards 2,000 subscribers, keep the content coming, keep all different shows coming, and again, really... I'm very thankful for everyone that tunes in each and every week with all the episodes. So, guys, have a good one, and we'll catch you next year. See you then.